all I could think about was, I want to say it's Stan from the Office Space, where he's talking about, I deal with the customer so the engineers don't have to. I have people skills.
Yeah, yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about there. Perfect. Yeah. I do have people skills. I really do. Hey, good evening to Tim and to Grumster. How are you guys?
What's happening, folks?
Good to hear you. Good to hear you.
Hello, guys.
Hi, mate. Hello. Sorry for not getting back to you, Grumster. I ended up running around with the kids and doing a bunch of stuff, and I only got home about 10 minutes ago. I thought I was going to go home way earlier than that, or 20 minutes. So my apologies for not getting back to you to figure out times for Dread.
You know that I'm grumpy and he's grumpster.
Oh, did I just say Grumster instead of Grumpy? I'm so sorry. Mr. Battersby, I am so sorry for getting that wrong.
We can just go back, sir, if that's easy.
Yeah, it is. I think my little prince is like, you have to fight over that title, both of you. But anyway, hey, welcome in. How's everyone doing this evening?
You know, Matt, I did spread the good word of Hawk the Slayer the other.
Oh, such a great movie.
Oh, nice.
Such a great movie. Who did you spread that? Have you seen it, by the way?
Yeah, I finally sat down and watched it one day. The kids have taken up a class for fencing, and somehow we got on the topic. Well, he saw me, quote, doing homework for D&D, and the topic led off to tropes and medieval fantasy and stuff, and then I name dropped Hawk the Slayer.
Man, I'm going to have to go back and watch that. I don't think I've watched Hawk the Slayer. Matt, remind me, that's the one where he has like the... Wait, Hawk the Slayer, is that the one with the sword, or is that... I'm thinking of Krull the Conqueror. Which one is Hawk the Slayer? That's the kind of like Conan the Barbarian, right?
Hawk has the elf that flies at a million miles an hour.
That's it.
The Slayer is the one with the frisbee.
That's it. And Lizette Anthony. Yeah, I think they both came out within a year or so of each other, right? Like they were movies from our childhood.
Yeah, one with a much bigger budget, I think. Although Hawk the Slayer had Jack Palance in it.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
Yeah.
I know. Do you know who the writer? Do you know who Garth Ennis is? The writer, the guy that wrote The Boys and Preacher and Hellblazer for a long time. Do you know who that is? And he did Judge Dredd as well. He's an Irish guy. Does that name mean anything to you? Okay, he redid Hawk the Slayer a couple of years ago. He did a comic book of that. It wasn't very good, which is why I'd forgotten about it until we started talking about which one it was. But anyway, I think he tried to do it.
That might have been what inspired me talking to John about it before.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Might have popped up on right through.
Oh, okay. There was...
That's where it popped up.
Trying to remember that there was another one. I think it was called Battle Beyond the Stars. That had like John Boy Walton in it. Do you know who I'm talking about? Yeah, I think it was called Battle Beyond the Stars.
Battle Beyond the Stars? Yeah, the spaceship looked like two boobs.
Oh, it did? I'm gonna have to go back and double check that. I don't remember that at all.
Have a look at the spaceship.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Is it boobs or testicles? Mate, that could go either way. That kind of...
Yeah, true.
It's reminding me of my grandfather.
Napoleon Solo in it as well, right? From Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, wasn't he the bad guy? Robert Vaughn?
Yeah, Robert Boyd.
No, Vaughn.
And Hannibal from the 18, Judge Pepper.
Oh, really? He was also in The Magnificent Seven, and I remember this as being a remake of The Magnificent Seven. Or
yes, that's exactly what
homage.
It was, and it wasn't exactly the same time.
Yeah, all of that. Sorry, I'm Tim and John. Sorry to do this to you, but like these are all of these movies came out within a couple of years of each other, and I think like Matt and I are like a year or so apart. So I think if you're English and within that 2 or 3 year time frame, these three movies are probably all conflated in your heads like they are in mine and Matt's head. Sorry for subjecting you to that.
You know, James Cameron was involved in the directing.
No idea. I had no idea.
Doesn't show, does it?
And I'm gonna have to go back and check this again. Thank you for this walk down memory lane. I do appreciate it. Well, look, are you guys ready to get rolling?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, look, first things first, if you wouldn't mind, if you look in the next to where it says the name of the session, if you're all, and by the way, John or Enya, are you are you online, or are you going to be able to get online?
I'm already logged in. I've been sitting.
Oh, interesting. It's not showing you as being like it. I put highlights around everyone that was logged in. So let me send this to you in Discord, but it's not showing you as being online.
Yeah, it looks like I closed the wrong.
I love you. All right. Well, if you look along the top where it says Minnie and the Magnificent Mongols, you should all see now a record button. If you could hit that for me at the end of the session, or when you close this window or hit stop recording, it will generate a JSON file. If you could send that to me by Discord, it would really help me with troubleshooting and making sure that I have this all optimized, right? Because it should show me anytime we run into a problem or anything that's going on. So again, if you wouldn't mind recording, that would be awesome. And then just to show you a couple more kind of changes or things that I've done to the system that might make it more interesting to play or like, you know, whatever. So if you look along the top, if you go into map mode on the campaign map, and in fact, let me do that thing where I force the viewpoint on you. So along the top, you've got plus suggest pin. You should also have measure and route. So if you click on route, I've added in. You should be able to add different waypoints to this, and then it will do the map quest nonsense where it will tell you how long it will take you to get to that place. You should also be able to use that drop down and change between walking and then using the bicycle. You've got a couple of bikes on Mini and then going to Mini. And Mini has a cruising speed of about 22 miles an hour. It can go faster than that. But again, these vehicles on methanol really aren't going very quickly, right? So this will show you again like that route option, and I'll talk about why that's relevant when we get back to the game. But you're not locked into. You can go anywhere you want. You don't even have to go to Montana, the map that you're following here. But that route tool will give you the opportunity to figure out where you'd want to go and how we would get there. Also, if you go to pins in the right sidebar, they're a little bit better organized than they were previously, right? So you've got all of the waypoint pins, and click on any one of these and they'll take you around, so you can kind of follow the route around where you're supposed to be going. But if you click on, or rather in that taskbar now, the waypoints, if you can close that up, obviously, and then under points of interest, anything that we do or new stuff that's coming up, or, you can see there, I've even accidentally shown a couple there, so let me cancel some of these out. But you should have Canyon Lake Marina, Apache Junction Territory, Tonto National Desert, and then First Night Camp, right? So you will be able to also go through and organize these and add your own waypoints too. I just wanted to show you, in case you're looking through these or trying to figure out where you're going or where the map is, just wanted to show those to you. Then if you click on the NPCs tab, there should be 3 almost dead NPCs in there. They're all mortally wounded. These are the guys you left behind. But if you click on them, click on any one of those, it will bring up a little NPC card, right? You can click on the portrait, get a better look at them. But there's also an area here if you wanted to write down any notes, right? So if you were to pick up, if you find an NPC that you want to take on the way, you can write notes in here, or any scenario we're in where you think it's useful to you to make notes. Just remember that you can go in and do this here. And then if you go, and we're almost done, if you go under the Assets tab and click on Mini, click the pop-out button. This should hopefully, what you're going to see here is I've updated this card, right? So and this won't be relevant in tonight's session, but right now you'll see the Shimmy is the driver, Juno's the navigator, and Enya is still listed as being the shooter. And Mikey's just sitting in the back like a useless passenger. So you can move around to different spots. But from in here, you'll be able to do driving checks. You could do a navigation check if that becomes relevant. You can still do the attacks that you were doing previously. What this does is, let me just change this one more time and go back to the main map. If we were in let me switch back to the tactical map a sec. And again, this isn't particularly relevant to us today, but let me share this with you. So if you're down here, so if we bring up the mini map again, so in fact, maybe one of you do this. So Shimmy, if you can bring up the mini pop out. And then on your character, if you click disembark, he should appear standing right next to Minnie. Yeah, there you go. So when we're on a tactical map where you might need it, now if you, again, go back to use the drop down, select driver, select shimmy, and then put board, I think it is. Yeah, hit board. He will go back onto Minnie. You'll see the token goes from 3 up to 4. That's how many passengers that are on there. So this was all a little bit loose when we were doing this previously, right? And again, unfortunately, tonight's session I don't think is going to require us to be in Minnie. But if we are in Mini, it's a little bit more self-contained. You can move that around. All the tokens are moved with it. It knows where you are in it, and you can also perform tasks within Mini from that character sheet. I know I'm talking a lot. Did that make sense? And do you have any questions on that?
Yeah, it all works.
All right, beautiful. One last thing, and then we will start playing. If you go along the top and go to where is this? Sorry, if you go to campaign and then campaign sheet, this is where we'll be tracking a bunch more stuff, right? So, and again, sorry to kind of have you dowsing through all these different things, but what this is basically. This is where we'll be tracking wounds, time, heals, meals, relaxation, stress, all that kind of good stuff, right? So as you can see from this, right now we have Enya has only got 2 wound points, right? So So along the top, campaign day 1, it's 11 in the morning. This is when you left the compound, right? So this was like 8 hours ago in game time. This is the day you're on. It's in year 1. So you see there's a bunch of buttons in there. We already did a heal. I just didn't have it programmed in. So Enya will heal because of the work Juno did when I moved time forward. I have a clock on here. I can advance time. But this is where, you have to eat every day or you start to get subsistence damage. When you get stressed, you can rest. That the rest button actually is going to be changed to sleep, so we'll be able to go through and do all that stuff. But again, you can run this. This just campaign tracker will enable us as we're going through and doing these different days to make sure that you guys have eaten, that we're tracking wounds, we're catching up on sleep, and that we're managing stress as we go through the campaign. I said an awful lot. Did that make sense to you guys as well? Any questions?
Good to go.
Beautiful. All right, let's get back to the campaign map, and then I shall bring you up to speed on where we are. All right. So, let me focus in. Let me bring you up to. Let me remind you of where we ended last play session. So you guys left and you were heading to Payson. That's your next town. You decided to take to stop for the evening, and you found this little kind of like area where you found a motorsports place. There's a little park. There's a few other businesses. It's about 8 miles south of Payson, which is where you're going to next. So just to kind of set the scene, I'll stop talking and then hand over to you guys. So it's the end of the first day. You've just pulled into this little area, and again, you parked outside the Outdoor Passion Motorsports. You're 8 miles south of Payton, like I already mentioned. The journey was pretty rough, right? So lots of potholes on the road. It's only been 15 months or so since everything fell apart, but in areas like Arizona, the elements are pretty brutal to the road. So been lots of potholes. You'll feel very kind of like bounced around. It's been very rough on you, Enya. The vehicle, by the way, to get Mini working, you had to strip back on a lot of the functions. So there's no air conditioning, right? You got the windows down, but it's like mid-90s, right? So, you're at 5,000 feet elevation. So you've got some wind and some cooler air, but it's been a pretty brutal drive so far, right? So if you guys have that campaign sheet open, I'm going to move it forward by 8 hours. Because this is when you pull in, right? So this is the evening. Again, we're going to retcon this a little bit and go back to where we were. So you pulled in. Sun is going down. If one of you would open up the mini pop-out, and scroll down until you see where it's got the fuel reserves. If you can take off 2 half tanks to go down to 2.5 tanks, this is how much fuel that you burn. So if one of you would do that for me. If you've used, like, again, one of those tanks of fuel, you're going to have to give her a once over now that you've parked her up for the evening, because, again, there's going to be a whole process to driving Mini. You have to give her just a check over once a night, or, like, after a day's driving, to make sure she hasn't sustained any damage, that the still is also, like, secure in place, etc., etc. You've heard animals that collectively you think are coyotes as you start to set up camp. So I'm going to hand over to you guys. One last thing I will say. I'm going to be calling you all on you at different times to do diary entries to help narrate this along, right? So, this can be an internal voice in your head. It could be an actual diary that you're writing down to keep a track of the journey. It can be a stream of consciousness. You can give me a summary of the nightmares that you had as you went to sleep. But I am going to be calling on you to give us a diary entry and just kind of like, put a little bit of flesh around where we are. So again, handing over to you. You've heard these animals. The sun is starting to go down. You know where you are. Walk me through what your plan for the evening is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if Minnie needs a once over, I'll get the toolbox out and start there. Figure out what she needs, if there's going to be any big projects for tomorrow.
Beautiful. So while you're doing that, Enya and Juno, what are you doing? You've heard these noises off in the distance. The equipment is there for you to set up camp and sleep outdoors, or you can sleep indoors. What is the conversation that's going on between you guys while what is your name? While Shimmy is giving Minnie a once over. What are you guys doing?
I'd just be checking bandages and making sure there's no infection, etc.
Oh, very nice, very nice. All right, beautiful. Well, let's have you go first, Shimmy. Let's have you make a mechanics check. No C modifiers.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Nice. 12.
Yeah, so if you look in the handouts channel, I put in there last week that there are some, like, I wrote out some actual roles, right? So you'll be doing a driving check. If you scroll to the top of the channel, you'll be doing a driving check every day. You'll be doing a scavenging check. You'll also be doing this mechanic and tinkerer check, right? Now, you've also got to do daily maintenance. That's what you just did, right? So your daily maintenance is any vehicle converted to run on methanol requires daily maintenance check while it's in use. On road trip days, this is covered by the driving check. On non-driving days, characters should make a mechanics or tinkerer check. Failure means a minus C1 mod on the next driving check. I just wanted to get us into the habit of doing this, even though your driving check would have largely covered this. You did get, that you were shot at today. You did ram through a barricade across that bridge. So I wanted to make sure the Mini was in good shape. So she's you still hear animal noises as the sun continues to go down, but you feel pretty good, Shimmy, about the shape that Mini is in. So anything you want to add to that, or anything that you notice while you're outside?
No, probably just checking those bullet holes, make sure they didn't hit anything important. We did ram some stuff, but probably just working on the front bumper. If there's a ram bar on it, just make sure. That's probably going to be something that gets a whole lot of use on a trip like this. So just make sure it's attached. It's not going to start dragging or falling off tomorrow when we start driving, looking around. And yeah, I mean, if we're just camping outside, I'm just kind of looking around, being like, all right, where are we going to start a fire? Where are we gonna set up and keep watch and make sure the local wildlife don't come and start trying to steal shit off of Mini or out of our bags while we're sleeping.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, you got the map up ahead of you, right? So you can kind of see. I know we've been through this, but if you go through satellite and topo and street, it'll all give you kind of slightly different views of what you see here, right? I think satellite is like arguably the most useful in this place. But as you can see, a couple of buildings here. I don't know quite what these are, but I would argue that a couple of these might be big enough if you were going to try and get in there and keep Minnie in there overnight, right? Otherwise, plenty of places for you to start fires, plenty of buildings if you actually wanted to sleep inside rather than being out and exposed with Minnie. So that's kind of what you see outside. So I'll leave. We'll come back to what you guys are going to do and where you're going to sleep in a second. Juno, let's have you make a medicine check.
Can you see my?
No, I think that you already. No, this is just checking the wound. I don't think there'd be any conditional modifiers on this.
Oh.
Beautiful. So Juno is healing well, right? I think my notes say that you got 6 last time. I think it was 5 on it. If I remember correctly, you get 1 plus, right? So I think you got 5 on that dice roll, +1. So Juno, when we do the overnight, Enya, when we do the 12 hours overnight, you're actually going to heal some, right? And again, like there's if you're using a doctor's kit, it's assumed there's like antibiotics in there, there's proper medicines, things to clean the wound. So you have a good chance of kind of like, getting some of the pep back in your step in a relatively short time frame, as opposed to a regular medicine check where it would have just been like, frankly, you'd have got like a wound point or 2 back and then you'd have healed over time. So you will see, again, when I move the clock forward, you'll actually see some recovery on, assuming it's working, you'll see some recovery on Enya. So why don't you two walk me through what your conversation is while Shimmy's out there doing the work on the car? How are you two feeling about the day so far? Juno, I'm trying to remember how close your relationship was with Frankie. Had he ever spoken to you about this retreat, or did you guys ever have a conversation about the road trip, or what was there on the other end waiting for you?
I didn't mix with him. Remember?
Yeah.
He was. He didn't help the guy that I brought to the place. I had an instant dislike to the guy.
All right. So as you come back into the kind of Shimmy, as you come in, Enya and Juno are having their kind of conversation and talking. Like, why don't you give me a diary entry, Shimmy, as you've been wandering around on the outside? How's it all appeared to be for you?
They did at the this location we stumbled into. There's probably a lot of interesting things to look at for salvage. Probably a little bummed that we got here so late in the day. Don't want to risk, not going over Minnie and doing all of the stuff to make a good camp and get it safe. But Jimmy's probably kind of like walking around, rubbing his hands together and be like, oh man, there's probably so much cool automotive stuff I got left around here. I wonder if there's salvage. Man, I bet I could find a little motocross bike or something to fix up and have a little something extra to take with us. I don't even know if I'm going to get much sleep tonight. I really just want to light up a torch and go start.
Don't worry, Enya's ready to go set up a perimeter. Wink.
Kind of feel like Enya might be at her most comfortable when she's on top of Minnie with that M60, with cradling that M60 in her sweet little hands.
And he just wants to go blow shit up before I can get it to fix it.
That's why you two get along so well. Did you hear any of that conversation when you came in about what was going to be in Montana waiting for you? Were you privy to any of that, Shimmy?
Take a look at in places he wants to check for scrap and salvage and You've been probably like looking at some of those big buildings, like you said about like, yeah, we should probably pull mini inside just on the off chance somebody does drive by in the middle of the night. We don't want this camper just out if there's going to be, fucking bandits or scavengers.
I think that's very legit. Why don't you can ping on the map? Why don't you ping one of the buildings and show me where you're going to be putting mini? It's all click, by the way.
Yeah, I was just like here looking at buildings. I can't really tell which it is just from looking at it, but so I don't know. Maybe like down here.
Is there any way you can do a scavenger roll and pick what's most likely to be useful to us?
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I was just looking down here. It looks like this might be like, I don't know, is that like a little scrapyard? It looks like it might actually be like a little fenced-in area, so there might be a little bit extra bit of cover if we can get in there to the buildings and have some sort of wall or a fence between us and the outside world. I mean, assuming that there's not too many holes in the fence or it's not just completely torn down, but that would just shot in the dark.
Let me look and see what this is.
Can't really tell from the aerial view, but it looks like, I don't know if it's like a scrapyard. You can't tell if the cars there are lined up like they're parked or if they're all just there.
Oh, you're gonna love it. I gotta see if there's a better map that I can call. This is because I keep using Google Maps, right? So to identify what stuff is there. This is Garvin's RV and Adventures. It's an RV dealer. I can't believe I'm gonna put this in Google. This feels like you guys. Sorry, in Discord. This really does feel like you guys have hit pay dirt with this, right? This is. Again, this building down there is perfectly set for you, right? You'll have to get in that gate. But yeah, like this building is, you could absolutely figure out how to secure this and get in there and lock Mini out for the evening.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's perfect.
All right, let's have you make, tell me how you're getting in the building. Let's assume, like, in fact, just fill in the gaps for me, right? Is it, was this place abandoned? Was this place locked up? Like, what do you find as you go in there? You tell me.
I mean, probably just take a stroll over by myself. Assuming, yeah, I mean, a place like this, I could see it being just like still locked up. Wooden boards and the fence around it, and maybe even just like a padlock and chains from the inside. Maybe the people, just looking from the outside, like maybe people just like stayed and died in there, or maybe they hopped the fence, or there's probably a back perimeter. It looks like there's a whole bunch of tree cover, so Jimmy walks over and it looks pretty good, and the fence doesn't look too bad. So at some point he's just like, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna, we're gonna have to get the RV in one way or the other. So have everybody get back in Mini and drive it over and grab some bolt cutters out of the toolbox and just cut the chain off of the front entryway and just go in and check it out.
Yeah, beautiful. There's very little resistance there, right? In terms of you have the bolt cutters, nothing specific was done here, right? So you're able to literally enter through the front gate, right? I not to put words in your mouth, but are you securing the gate after you, or are you just going in and looking at the building before you decide if you're setting here for the night?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to lock ourselves in if we get in there and somebody jumps out. So we would just leave the front gate open, leave it unattended, drive Mini in. Anya's probably pretty good with a rifle with a scope on it to keep line of sight. So get in there, and I just want to have a good look around before we actually decide if this is going to be the final place.
Beautiful. Well, the same thing, right? The front doors are locked, but I don't know that that's really much of a problem for you, right? With bolt cutters and so on to get in there. So let's assume that, again, you're able to just, break and enter very meaningfully or very easily into here and drive Mini in. So inside, there's a lot of useful equipment. There's nothing really stand out there, right? There's nothing you're kind of like, oh my God, there's like diamonds encased in something, right? But there's plenty of tools. There's all the things that this really does feel like finding this during the first leg of your journey, man, you kind of wish you'd found it a little bit further into the journey or later in the journey, right? Because there's so much useful stuff here, but only so much that you're going to be able to take with you, right? So, I don't know. Maybe you guys tell me. Do you think there are any dead bodies in there with you, or do you think this place, again, society fell apart kind of slowly and quickly. Kind of fell apart slowly at first, and then all at once, right? So you tell me. Are there any dead bodies or any kind of weird trinkets in there?
I mean, with the gates locked and the building locked up tight, I can only imagine that only dead bodies from the virus itself. So if there's one or two, that's probably what it is. Huddled in a corner somewhere.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's a couple of people who locked themselves in, and the supplies ran out, and they never got out again, or whatever happened to them. All right, beautiful. So I mean, this building feels relatively secure, right? Particularly as you heard animals outside, right? It certainly feels like these four walls are a little bit more, will provide more defensive cover than Mini would, right? If something comes a calling. So you're able to get Mini in there. And again, on this map, you can obviously see the RVs in there, right? So there's plenty of room inside this building, and you're able to secure it for the evening. So what are you guys doing? Anything before hunkering down? Is there anything that you'd want to do before the sun finally set? Walk me through it.
Ooh, I'm digging through the.
Yeah, I'd probably.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking away and you guys couldn't hear me. So yeah, sorry about that. So Enya, I was asking what your condition is, right? You got shot in the butt or the leg or the high knee. So what happened to you? Like, are you mobile? Are you able to walk?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm probably slow rolling it. I may not be if it's limping, it's not the wound particularly. It's all the indirect muscle tension and all the other kind of after bruising, that kind of stuff. Not directly limping from help, but I'm just dragging Mikey around as a pack.
All right, beautiful. Yeah, he's willing to help you kind of look. So let's have you guys all make a tinkerer check. No C-mod. We'll just see what the state of the fence is as you get around to the different parts of it. Mikey found nothing.
You said for the fence?
Correct. Yeah, I heard Shimmy say that he wanted to patrol the fence or look at the perimeter rather and make sure that this was actually a secure place and see if there's anywhere animals or people would be able to get in. So,
you can ignore my roll then. I ain't got time for that.
Oh, you ain't got time for that? Okay. Well, luckily you failed, so that didn't work. So, or it didn't affect anything. So, none of you found anything, right? And that might be because there was nothing to find. It could be because the sun was going down. Maybe you weren't able to get close enough. But, as you guys walk the perimeter, and again, you're losing light every minute here. As you're walking the perimeter, you don't see anything that makes you think that people are going to be able to get in or animals are going to be able to get in or anything that would make you worry in that way.
Beautiful. I mean, that's a little bit of relief right there, but I mean, we should still take precautions, pull Mini inside, figure out where we actually want to bunk down, assuming someplace with like a door where we can maybe still have a fire inside. There's going to be some places I assume where there's going to be like busted out windows or a hole in the roof so that we can have a fire and not suffocate ourselves.
Yeah.
Fire?
You could do this in a number of ways, all depending on what you want to do. And I heard you very clearly there, Shimmy. So, out here, you could have a fire in the open. You could sit around it. There is a fence here that you're able to padlock after you're able to chain it back together. So no one's coming in unless they've got a bolt cutter as well. But animals aren't getting in. So you could have the fire just out here. But there is like an office towards the back here, right? So you'll be able to break the windows. You'll be able to burn a bunch of shit in there and stay warm and cook if you found some small animals or had some supplies you wanted to cook.
Yeah, beautiful.
All right, so let me.
The office, yeah. I mean, that sounds fine. I don't know how much time we actually have to do a little bit of hunting, but some fresh food after a day like this, and especially with Anya being injured and on the mend, would probably go a long way to just keeping morale up.
So if you go to again under campaign, go to the campaign tracker. So you have I'm going to move the time forward to tomorrow morning. So it's now gone forward by 12 hours. So you should see it at 7 a.m. It looks like it didn't fix you. So if you could go into your character sheet, if you could add 5 wound points to that, and put your resilience points back to. This should have put everyone's resilience points back to their max, by the way. And then I'm not sure if this is working yet, but if you could go, if you could all click eat. It's not working. It says it's a placeholder still. All right, beautiful. Okay. So I will manually track this, right? So you have a relatively quiet night. I will say you do hear a bunch of animal noises, right? And it just makes you all glad that you decided to stay inside of this compound, right? Because you can't help but think the amount of noise that you heard in the night from coyotes that were, I'm saying it right, by the way, Shimmy, coyotes that were kind of like prowling around outside and making noise. That would have been really disconcerting if you'd have been in Mini and they'd have all been like howling and banging around at the door. You'd have been scared shitless, right? But the fact that you were, probably sleeping in Mini inside of this big, RV building, inside of this relatively semi-contained company, you had a pretty good night's sleep, all of you, right? So, all right, beautiful. So it's bright and early, right? It's 7 a.m. the next morning. Shimmy, did you say you were saving the scavenging hunt for today? Is that right?
Yeah, with how late it was and wanting to get everything set up. But yeah, I mean, bright and early, get some fucking instant coffee on, get a quick bite to eat, make sure everybody knows what we're doing, and probably starting at this little compound. I want to take a look around, look to see what's what. I know we're talking about limited space, but there might be some interesting shit here that might be worth making space. Plus, I think we were intending to have more bodies than we actually do, so we might actually have a bit more room.
You do. You were also expecting to have more vehicles with you, right? So you have more space, but at the same time, it's not as much as you'd hoped, right? So let's have you make a scavenging check, and you get a +2 because this is did I put all of this in? I don't know if I put the hold on 1 second. I don't think I did this. So let me put this in handouts. I have 2 different scavenging whatever you call it, checks, right? So one is for when you're trying to gather material to brew. The second one is for this, right? So if you it still says brew day. So Tim, make a roll, and we'll see what you find. And again, you get a +2 C mod because it's got a specialized location, right? Because you're in somewhere you're more likely to find shit. Beautiful. So yeah, you why don't you tell me what it was, right? So, it's a standard yield. You found what the location plausibly held. So supplies, equipment, information in the condition the world has left it in, right? No unexpected complications. So you can lay out for me what it was you found, because you found a bunch of material in here. What was it?
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, this is an RV.
Ooh, I could tell you what you're looking for.
Go ahead, open to suggestions.
So, like Tony had said, it's unfortunate that we found such a bastion of things this early on. I was initially thinking stuff like oil and fuel, oil filters to start with, but I'm pretty sure pretty much find that anywhere for an auto shop. So probably what you're going to want to look for, and Enya won't do this herself. She would send Mikey to go look at the other RVs if there's no tires with rims in stock inside, to go find the same bolt pattern so we can get a couple spares. If there's any water filters that are left over, those would probably be good to snag. Any specialty kind of hoses for these in general. I'd be looking for RV specific as opposed to just generic automotive things.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I was also thinking if we're kind of light on room, this might be a place where we could pick up a little trailer.
Yeah, and we got an entire roof that we can throw stuff on. And
Yeah.
I know she's
Yeah.
specifically looking for any oil filter she can turn into some sort of explosive device. So she's going to be stacking all of her nails and bolts inside of the oil filters in her box, and several cans of brake cleaner she can find. Anything aerosolized that's flammable.
Oh, I really like this.
And hoses and all that stuff is probably always a solid idea. You can probably never have too many of those.
A couple quarts of oil, maybe a whole case.
All right, hold on a second. So here's what we're gonna do. Roll, Tim, as you were doing it. Roll 2d6.
I just walked away from my computer. Somebody roll that for me.
I also just walked away from the computer.
All right, so you just found for the next. Hold on, found supplies. I'm making a note of this in the GM notes section, so it goes into the campaign. Found supplies specifically. All right, for the next. Hey, Juno rolled it, and it was a better roll, so I'm going to actually give you Juno's roll.
Nice.
So for the next 10 mechanics checks on Mini, you're going to get a +1.
Nice.
Because of all the stuff you found, like air filters and whatever. Like, it's just a bunch of equipment, and it's just going to stand you in good stead. So for the next checks, anytime you have to make a mechanics check or anything, or a repair check or anything on Mini, you're going to get a +1 C mod. So again, I have these in the GM notes. I will find a way to keep a track of this. Oh, actually, I think I can just write it on Mini sheets so we don't forget it there. All right, Enya, why don't you walk us through what you found? Because again, you were looking for flammables and stuff that you could turn into weapons. So let's have you make a separate check, actually.
Trying to find the scavenging button where it is. Oh,
it's in your character sheet. Oh, perfect. So again, going back to hold on a second, let me bring it up. Going back to what I had written down, this just means you found what you expected to find, right? A successful yield. So what were you? I know what you said you were looking for, but why? It wasn't a wild success. It wasn't a moment of great insight. You were just successful. So why don't you walk us through what you found and what you're going to be able to do with it?
Yeah, typical stuff. I mean, it would be useful to have something like brake cleaner, especially if it's something like 40. I also aerosolized and can very easily be flammable. And I was also thinking spark plugs on the mechanics thing too, because you never know when that's gonna. I'm also actually, now that I think about it, spark plugs are also probably a good thing to have, as well as another battery, because I can see trying to rig that up to get a spark on something if I were to make some sort of trap. So, oil filters to throw shrapnel in. WD-40, brake fluid, brake cleaner. Yeah, pretty much anything like that. They'll be useful at the RV, but also I could take it.
All right, so let's have you do this. Let's have you make a demolitions check with +1. Yeah.
Skin of my teeth.
Oh, let me unfold it. What did you get?
Oh no, it's an 11. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just see the big roll numbers and success.
I'm just glad you got it. So, John, I kind of like with Tim. I think that you can define how this looks, but what I'm going to give you, and like go into the notes section and make a note to attach it to the campaign. You get 2 separate +2C modifiers using this equipment, but you got to tell me what you're doing with it, right? Meaning, if you were going to make a makeshift bomb, you get a +2C mod if you're using the stuff that you found here. So again, write it down on your character sheet or somewhere so you don't forget it. Because 2 separate attempts to do something with demolitions or an attack, you can leverage this equipment. Did that make sense what I was saying there?
Yeah, the recap definitely.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, put it in the notes if you wouldn't mind so I can attach it to the session. All right, beautiful. So, Juno, what were you doing while they were while they were doing that scavenging? What were you up to?
Anything. Can I use survival, sit and go find something to eat?
Oh, 100%. If you want to scavenge, yeah, like forage, rather, yeah, use survival. And by the way, one last thing. I didn't ping you after the session last week, but you still don't have enough skill points. You got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You don't have to do it now. You can if you want, but tell me 3 more where you want to spend 3 more skill points and put it to me in chat or whatever. I will go through and load up your skill set because you're underpowered. You only have 12 instead of 15 skills.
Okay. Did that last week, but we'll do. No worries.
Oh, I like that.
Fail on the scavenging.
Yeah, you didn't find anything. This is all you found a bunch of like weeds and bushes and shitty stuff, but you didn't find anything that you'd want to take back and say that you'd be able to eat, and there was nothing here that you think you could use for medicine. So, one last question before we decide what you're doing for the day. Kind of going back to your foraging check here. You're down to 2.5 days of fuel, right? And the way Frankie designed this, if you look back on the pins tab, everything under waypoint, like those 12 waypoints, excuse me, each of those is 1 day's worth of fuel, right? So you get roughly somewhere between 125 and 135 miles on one tank of gas from like you're making from methanol. So you've got 2.5 days. You lost half a tank when you were unplugging. So you don't have to stay here and brew anything. You can just keep moving. But at some point, the next after Payson, you go to Flagstaff. Somewhere between Flagstaff and Page, you will absolutely have to stop and brew. So I'm not telling you to stop and brew here, but there is an area. There's lots of foliage here, right? There's like a park just up the road. There's lots of bushes here. So if you wanted to stay here and spend a couple of days here brewing and gathering to refill that tank and a half you've already used, that's also a possibility. And again, I don't care if you do it here, but you are going to have to do it somewhere or you'll have no fuel. That will make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this is probably a good place. I mean, I guess it's kind of a coin flip because we probably want to put as many miles between us and the bad guys behind just in case they do decide to give chase. It seems like this would be a pretty easy place just to scavenge raw materials from, even if we don't actually do the brewing, right?
Agreed.
So it might be worth spending a day, half a day or a full day here, just kind of walking around and scavenging some more of the locations and also just doing double duty and just, sweeping up whatever raw materials we need to actually turn into methanol, which I assume is just anything that breaks down and is carbon, right? And just
correct.
Bushes and plants and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Mulch, anything, right? If it was organic, like fruit, waste, shit, anything you can find. If it was organic, you can turn it into methanol. All right, so let's have you.
If that's cool with Juno and Enya, that's kind of a group decision depending on where people's heads are at.
Oh, I'm absolutely going to bat my eyes and feign a little bit more of that limp at Mikey and say, Mikey, can you please go out there for me?
Yeah, absolutely will. Mikey's just a donkey at this point. All right, and Tim, yeah, it's wood supplies as well, right? So we've never really explored this in the game, but there's three levels of supplies, right? So there's common, uncommon, and rare, right? So they're pretty self-explanatory. If you're looking for, mortar shells, that's probably going to be rare, right? If you're looking for a staple gun, that might be uncommon. If you're looking for pieces of wood, it's absolutely common, right? So you can do this as a group check. And again, this is all in the handouts channel. Like if you scroll up to the very top, there's the second picture down is the scavenging checks on gather days, right? So feel free to do this as a group check. And by the way, just as a reminder, that's under the checks along the top. There's actually a button built in for that. So you could all be part of that, and the results are all kind of already laid out as to what happens. So over to you guys.
Where is the? Oh, it's under check.
Yep.
Check. Yeah, I mean, if everybody's good with that, is everyone participating? This would be what, scavenging?
Correct.
Yeah, Mikey's going to take my place. I'm going to spend my time putting all my nuts and bolts into my new oil filters in those boxes, and then I'm probably going to go back through the office building and start stealing all the light bulbs.
So it's going to be everybody but Enya, who's off doing her own thing.
Oh, yeah. If we were going to do a diary right now, I'm sitting here bouncing back and forth between not having Frank here to restrain me from doing what I want, but at the same time, I have to figure out how to be sociable to the point where you guys aren't going to want to throw me out.
I think that's a whole separate issue.
That shit crazy.
Mikey's got the best scavenging, apparently. He is leading us. Any Steam mods here, or just a group check roll?
Just a group. No, actually, +1 C mod, because it is like a pretty fertile area, all things considered.
Right. Good roll.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, beautiful. So it yields more than expected. You find what you're looking for, and enough material to really do this well, right? So you do it quickly. Generally, this takes like a full day to scavenge this much material, but you do it before, you do it just after lunch, right? There's so much. This is such a relatively lush area to get it all in. So you pull it back. Let me do one more thing. Everyone make, whether or not you got any points in it doesn't matter, but everyone make a tactics check.
15.
Beautiful. Juno. All right, so Enya, it seems very unlikely to you, given the, they only had, like, the bad guys only had one vehicle that Frank had started to convert for them. It seems super unlikely anyone would be chasing you this far out, right? It's always a possibility. But going back to Tim's point about should you stay here, you're like 100 miles away or 80 miles away or something from where you started, right? The idea that people are going to chase you on horse to avenge their dead leader that was basically a slave driver and held water over everyone's heads for pay, doesn't feel very likely. Does that make sense?
Yeah, she'll start telling a tale of back when she was a mercenary about, very akin to a CIA op about destabilizing some small warlord government that thought they were something, but they were just being a pain in the ass, so we had to destabilize it anyways.
Beautiful. So it doesn't, you guys don't have to stay and do anything with this. I just wanted you, I wanted to kind of, I wanted one of you to be able to allay any of Shimmy's concerns that you might be getting chased, right? I mean, this feels, it actually is, it's as peaceful as you guys have known. You have, you don't really feel like you have the threat of Kincaid and Menendez rather, hanging over your heads anymore. So you guys spend a half day. You're able to gather a whole bunch of stuff. Do you plan on staying here? By the way, it's for every. It's one of those like almost like leapfrog situations where you spend a day gathering, a day brewing, and that gives you 2 days worth of fuel, right? So for every 4-day period, you've got to spend a day gathering and a day brewing to then drive for those 2 days, then to stop and repeat. Because Frank had been loading a Mini, you actually have a little bit of leeway, right? You have, still 2.5 days worth of fuel in there. But just letting you know that's how generally this runs. Does that make sense? Beautiful. All right, you're gonna have this stuff strapped to the side of Mini, and maybe let's go back to you, Shimmy. Were you looking for something to drag along behind? Did you say?
I mean, if we find something, I don't think there would be like a big focus of wanting to spend more time here. But I mean, if we find a trailer, or even God forbid, like we find another vehicle, whether it's a small motorbike to work on that we can take with us. I know, we probably don't have the expertise to actually convert something to methanol while we're on the road. Actually, I don't know how that works. You actually need to convert the vehicle itself. If we come across anything like that, just lucky happenstance, that would be something to consider. But yeah, I mean, between gathering and wanting to collect spare parts and tires, I'm not going to go out of my way to spend extra time.
Yeah, you got a. I'm trying to remember what you got. I think it was just a success when you were scavenging earlier, right? You didn't get a wild success. Yeah. You got it. Yeah. You find a lot of really like averagely useful stuff. You don't find anything like that, and if you did, let me just look at your character. Oh, I can't see it. No, I can on the GM. Hold on. Let me just look at your character sheet. Do you have the skills to be able to? Yeah, +2. So you could do this, right? And there's actual like rules written out about what it takes to convert. I'd have to go and look them up. But if you find like a motorbike or something like that, you'd absolutely be able to strap that to Mini. And presumably, if you found a couple more places like this along the way, there's no reason you couldn't convert a motorbike or even a car if you were towing it behind you. You have the skills, Shimmy, to be able to do that if you had the equipment and location.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll keep my eye out, but I don't think we would have spent extra time here even after we're done. And there's so many places as we're driving up the road that we probably stop and just search for extra tires and food and leftovers that we spend most of the day and probably don't have a whole lot of extra time. Beautiful.
All right, well, fantastic. Walk me through what you're doing. So it feels like you've had a good day here. You slept, it's now, let me move the clock along again. It's kind of, mid-afternoon after you guys have spent it's like 3 p.m. So, you've still got some hours ahead of you with good daylight, but you have spent a day here gathering and kind of pulling that stuff together. What is the plan? Are you heading out this evening? You're going to wait till first light? What are you guys up to?
I don't know. I mean, you still limping around pretty bad. You want another night's rest before we actually hit the road and start bouncing around on potholes again?
Oh, fuck no. I just didn't want to walk around in the desert sun today.
Huh. I love the honesty. All right. All right, beautiful. Well, if Enya doesn't need another day there, Juno, I'm guessing that you're ready to go as well, correct?
Definitely.
All right, beautiful.
In the boss's office, what I did was I took his chair and just assembled it and grabbed the cushion out of it so that now I have a cushion inside the Mini in my spot.
You didn't have to hurt anyone to do that, right? I'm just double checking.
It's a poor defenseless Herman Miller chair.
There's no such thing as a defenseless Herman Miller. All right. All right. So let me just see. All right. So over to you guys. It's 3 p.m. Again, you've got a couple of hours ahead of you. The next stop on Frank's map for you was to go to Payson, which is just up ahead. Let me just plot a quick route to that for you. Looks like I may have broken the. All right. Well, so Payson is just up ahead. Like, what is your guys' plan? Are you going to drive up to Payson? Are you going to? You look at the map. There's not really a way to bypass it. You kind of have to go through there. So why don't you walk me through what your plan is?
Yeah, I mean, we had enough time to get there before dark. I assume we don't know anything else about it. If it's inhabited, if there's anyone we know there. Did Frank leave us notes about if he had contacts there?
No, none at all. Like he just literally he's got like a gas station map and he's done his calculus about how far he thinks you can go. But there's no descriptions, there's nothing, right? And you haven't been this far north. What you know is this used to be a town of like, 15, 20,000 people. And like a lot of places in Arizona, this was a largely retirement community, right? So that's kind of all any of you know about. By the way, if you wanna convince me otherwise or fill in the gaps as to how, but that's what I know that you know about Payson. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can at least get into the outskirts. It looks like it's a proper little city, so we don't have to drive into the depths of it. But we should, I think, just clear the distance, get on the outskirts, maybe find a high vantage point, get the binoculars out, have a little scout, and decide what we want to do for the night.
I love it. It's only given how fast Mini's going at the moment, it's only roughly a 30-minute drive, right? So you could probably get through to the other side of Payson, and again, you guys are going to have to figure out where you want to camp and where you want to stop for the evenings. But you could certainly get through the other side of Payson and probably start to make it to, let me share this with you where I think you could probably get to. All right, the next stop for you is up here in Flagstaff, right? So, for whatever reason, I don't seem to be able to ping at the moment. Not sure why. There we go. So this is your next stop up here, right? So right now you're down here. So really up to you where you go and how far you go, right? So Tim, let's zoom in. Why don't you figure out and show me on the map where the vantage point is that you're gonna find to look out on Payson?
Map's not cooperating right now. It's kind of hard to tell what's elevated and what's not.
So I'm not sure if you can see where I'm pinging, but this is an elevation and there's a couple of routes for you to get up there, right? So you may have to do some hiking when you get to the top, but this would give you an elevated viewpoint over like the entrance to Payson. Like if you, sorry, let me.
Yeah, I mean, that looks about as close as we're going to get. That's easy to get to, yeah.
Beautiful. So, all right, so you'd be able to come off the road, say around here, if you can see where I'm pinging. Let me show my view. So around here, you could come off and start heading up this kind of way up there. So let's have you make a driving check, because this is as off-roading as you ever want to do in an RV. Let's have you, Tim, make a driving check. Beautiful. Yeah, you're able to get up there no problems. This is it's not going as quickly as you would like. This is a little bit more treacherous terrain than you'd expected it to be. So it's probably getting to, maybe a couple of hours after you, or an hour rather after you left the thing. So you're able to get up onto this viewpoint up. I know what you mean about the map being kludgy. So you're able to get up to around here and look down on Payson with your binoculars. So what you see, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Did that kind of cover it, what you were planning to do? Was there anything else there?
No, not unless anybody else had any other ideas. That seems like the best approach. Take a look before we drive through some sort of urban area.
Well, what you see... Sorry, mate, I didn't mean to talk over you. So what you see from up here is you look... let me share my view again. So, you're around here at the moment, like I said, right? So this is pretty treacherous backcountry, right? As you started to get up here, you even had to leave Mini because you started to run out of road, right? So as you look down, as you're kind of like, scouring the landscape, you don't really see much. And then, hold on. No, my daughter just came into the room. Hold on 1 second.
So your messages, Matt, there in Dread. I got to hop on and update my times for. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name again.
Quinn.
Dear God, Quinn. No, Flink. Lucas. There we go. Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. So as you're kind of like scanning the horizon, as you get kind of down here to this area, you see what looks like a very deliberate man-made roadblock, right? So as you're kind of looking at this area where I'm pinging, there's lots of cars that have been moved together. There's, a couple of them appear to be burned out. They're not burning at the moment, right? But what you realize is that, there really is no other way through here, right? So, whoever has blocked this, whoever's created this roadblock here, really has blockaded the only route in or out of Payson, right? So you might be able to get lucky and find some of these back routes that will take you if you wanted to bypass or, skirt around it. But for you to stay on roads and, minimize the risk of damage to Mini and to yourselves, like you're going to have to approach this roadblock and see if you can move what looks to be, again, a bunch of cars and a bunch of shit that you see in the road. So let me put that on the map for you. There you go. You should see a little cross and bones there. Excuse me. That's where the roadblock is. What is your plan?
I'm gonna help Matt and Tim out and say that Enya is most of this campaign probably going to be very reactive and lost in her own thought or world unless she's actively in the middle of doing something. So unless you grab her attention or something drastic happens, she's probably not paying attention.
Well, that's good to know. Juno, any brilliant, crazy, or otherwise ideas?
No, I'm a medic, not a tactician for this sort of stuff.
Hey, when,
Version, approach it, and
Gonna find you a fucking Star Trek shirt over your bones. Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a tactician.
I have a blue one, please, not a red one.
That's what I thought you were getting at there, Tim. I thought you were going to offer a red shirt. Hey, sorry. I know you said this in the session 0. Where did Juno get her medical training? Is she like an EMT or a school doctor? Like, what is it with her?
I bet she's a proper doctor. Let's say she's a GP.
Okay. All right, beautiful. So that's what you guys see. Again, you guys, you see this up ahead of you. The road that you're on, this map really is struggling this evening.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't just me. My map was really just like not cooperating there for a while.
Yeah, so was mine. All right, so this is where you guys are. That's where you see the roadblock ahead of you there. This is where you will come out back onto the road with Minnie. If you come back down out of the mountains the way you came again. So, what is how'd you plan on getting past the roadblock?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can drive up to it, see what happens, see if we can talk our way through it. But I guess knowing that it's mounted on top of Mini, the big what is it?
The M60?
M60. I mean, it's just mounted up there. It's probably like a bitch to actually like take off. So I don't know. I mean, I guess there's probably a lot of intimidation factor in having a big gun like that mounted, and also maybe something to be said about not having it up there if we're trying to appear peaceful. But that's just a consideration when we go into these things.
There is a top. I'm sorry, say that again, Matt.
I was going to say, and just don't publicize that it can't shoot sideways or backward.
Well, there is a tarp on the roof, right, or on the top of the car. So, on top of the RV. So, if you wanted to, if nobody's up there and you pulled the tarp over the top of it, you know, I don't want to say it's hidden, but it would be hard. Someone would have to like really be staring at it and trying to figure out what was up there to even get a clue that you've mounted a gun on the top. But yeah, to your point, Tim, would be very difficult to take it off, right? I mean, it's really mounted in place up there like an emplacement, right? So getting it off, it is possible, but it wouldn't be. It would be a matter of, multiple minutes work, not seconds work. You wouldn't just be taking it off and putting it back on there again.
Double-edged sword there, because then it's just as difficult to get back on if we get in a situation where we need it. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, just pull the tarp over the top of it for now. The tarp, you can always shoot through a tarp or just pull the tarp off between Inya and Mikey. And I say we just drive slowly up, don't even try to be stealthy, and just take a look, see if anyone's up there waiting to talk to.
Inya, are you under the top? Where are you?
I mean, I'm doing my little project and told me they.
Kind of up to you. I know that you've got your project going on. Is this, going back to what Tim's trying to achieve here, because he's going to be driving, right? So, if you get up there and there's hostiles, is your plan to try and, and again, there's a roof hatch you can go through. Is your plan to get up there, or are you planning on being up there and under the tarp in case you need to, kind of reveal yourself and open fire?
I'd probably, if I put the tarp over it, that's fine. I'll leave the hatch open, put the tarp over, but I'm gonna stand at the base. Like I'll just know like I'm riding the subway.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So as you guys are coming up, excuse me, and let's say that this conveniently located piece of traffic on the map is actually Mini, right? So as you guys are coming up, you can see that this is, very obviously a deliberate roadblock up here, right? That there's, a bunch of cars. There's enough. There's enough here that you don't think you could get around the sides, right? They're like all the way down to here. You'd have to go through the trees and the bushes. So like all the way along, like either side of this, just feels like there's an awful lot of roadblock, like cars and trucks and shit for you to move. So that's kind of what's up ahead. And then also, as you start to approach, you see there are some people here, like almost like they've been waiting for you, right? So you see, 3, 4, 5 people that are, this is a gas station, that are kind of underneath the gas station as you start to pull up. So I don't want to railroad you and say that you're kind of here before you notice them. And again, I think about here is when you'd start to see these people and get a good sense of what the roadblock really looked like. What do you guys want to do?
I stuff a grenade in each of my 2 front pockets, and I say, "All right, Commander, tell me when."
Mike, is she talking to you? Yeah.
She could be talking to Mikey, but again, Mikey just seems to be fading into the background. I may even rename Mikey as a bad smell to stop him from being distracting, right? So, she could be talking to Mike, but she's probably talking to you, Shimmy. You're the closest thing to a commander, driving this vehicle and being up in the front.
No, Mikey's essentially much.
Yeah, I mean, there's people under a gas station overhang. I'll stop well short of the actual roadblock, couple, 100 feet back. Probably even a little bit back from the gas station. Leave us an open line of sight, just kind of like come to a complete stop. Just put the brakes on. Just let them take a look at us. Maybe even say like, yeah. I mean, I want to stay behind the wheel, but does somebody want to get up on top of Minnie and wave your arms or just you know, run up to a white flag, let them know that we're come in peace. We just want to talk.
Oh God, you say that. I rip the tarp down. I've got my head up, and without saying, "Hey, you guys," I pull a tank girl. I'm just sitting there waving, even though the gun is sitting right in front of me. So I'm just up there waving and just saying, "Oh,
Are you when you say that, are you being threatening?
oh no!" It's like a level of excitement. Like, there's no threat to it. It's literally just getting the attention, waving one hand, and then waving both hands, and then just basically just shouting, "Hello!"
So they hey, can someone ping the map and show me exactly where you are? Are you where that truck is or where that vehicle is on the map here, or are you closer to the gas station? Where are you? Are you within talking distance, I guess, is probably the question.
We'd be further away, wouldn't we? Doctor would be uncomfortable being within.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking at the map. You were asking for like here, where that truck is?
No, this one back here.
Yeah. That's where I think we'd
That back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what is it?
have to buy the UE as well if we needed to.
So that's like 500 feet. Yeah, we're definitely not within talking distance. I mean, they might be able to see and just hear, and I can always just honk the horn a few times just to let them know. But I think, yeah, we just kind of like stop back there and just let them see us and let them make the first move.
So you see them kind of come out and start to walk towards you, right? Let's have you all make, and again, this is more about seeing if this mechanic works. Let's have you all make a perception check, which is under the checks button along the top.
Shut down inside of the hatch and say, "First contact made, Captain."
You in my crappy rolls.
Yeah, so you successfully perceive something useful. You have to work on some of these messages. So, Shimmy, as these people start to come towards you, you count 4 adult males and then what looks like a young girl, right? So it could be a small woman, could even be a small boy, right? But it's seemingly a girl with long hair, right? So they're kind of, after Enya waved at them, they come out and I mean you can see they're armed, right? I mean they've got weapons and they've got the weapons out, but they're waving, and the little girl or the small woman or whatever it is, because the men are waving and Enya waved at her, she seems to be bouncing up and down, waving kind of excitedly. So they're not making any move towards you. They're waiting to see what you do, but this would be weird behavior if they're, or a good trick, right? But if they're aggressive and if they were bandits or trying to rob you, they're not setting off your spider sense at the moment.
Yeah, all right. Making a mental note next time we stop a place to scavenge, we're gonna look for a fucking bullhorn.
Oh, I already got ideas for our communication in the RV.
Yeah, I mean, unless anyone has any objections, I'll be mostly just looking at you, Juno. I'm going to start just slowly rolling forward so we can go up and talk to them.
Looks like they're armed with something to lose.
Does this seem weird though? They send out a party to an unknown place, but they bring a child. That's something illegal that's there.
Yeah, no idea. I mean, we could leave the RV back here. I mean, I know we've got bikes. We could just, I mean, it's not even that far. We could just take a walk up and not risk Minnie. But I mean, eventually we got to talk to them. We either got to talk to them or just start shooting and turn this into an even potentially bigger mess than it is.
I'll hit the roof and tell Enya to keep an eye out for high areas where they might have sort of a sniper or someone on the lookout. As they're just
You're coming up to take the position on the roof, or you're just coming up to me to tell me that?
just banging on the roof telling you to look because something smells fishy.
Well, I'm going to need a pair of binoculars.
Yeah, well, you can help yourself. If you can put that time in a few seconds, you might have taken some out there.
I had exactly what I needed in my. I literally just name the grenades as I pat each pocket, and then I get into a tiff and come climb down and go digging through the bag for binoculars.
Juno, you wanna walk up with me, or should I take Mikey?
We want to walk. Do we want to get out the van?
Ooh, the medic on the front line. I love it.
Tell you what, if you're going to go, I'll get in the driver's seat in case we need a quick get out.
All right.
You're the better driver, right?
Yeah, I'm the driver, but I also might be the only one who has any social skills knowing this group. Does anybody good at social situations?
How are you?
What about the whiff in the back? Let's send him.
Yeah.
Look at Mikey. I can be sociable.
Yeah. Mikey, you take the dog collar off. leave it with mommy. You and I are going to take a walk, and yeah, I mean, I'll grab an assault rifle on a sling, just sling it over my back. I'm not going to be carrying it. I'll have my pistol, but again, keep it strapped to my hip. And Mikey and I will just walk forward, friendly, hands up, waving, going nice and slow, and then walk up to these people and say howdy.
If Shimmy tells him to take it off, if he looks at me, I glare at him, and that's my psych roll.
Wait, if who does what, John?
He told Mikey to take the dog collar off, and if he looks at me, I give him a glaring look, and that's my psychology roll. Do with that what you will.
So, okay, so help me put a little bit more form around that. What were you trying to do with that psychology roll?
Oh, I was basically saying that I've got Mikey wrapped around my finger.
Oh.
So, and Jimmy tried to tell him to do something that was opposite of what he's already said I've done to him. So, I'm throwing my expert psychology at him to not listen to Shimmy and listen to me instead.
All right.
As in the collar stays on, he can go for a walk.
Yeah, Mikey, I think is there something? I was going to ask if there was something kinky and weird with you and Mikey, but I think I'm just going to move on and get like to the next level. So you're walking down, Shimmy. You're walking to meet these people. Did you say you're taking Juno with you?
No, I'm taking Mikey.
Oh, you are taking Mikey.
He's going to be behind the wheel in case somebody needs to drive and either rescue us or make a quick getaway.
All right, beautiful. So as you and Mikey walk down, there are there's four guys in total, right? And this girl. So three of the guys hang back with the girl, and then one of the fellas walks towards you, right? He has a shotgun, and he's kind of cradling it in his arms, but he's not holding it. You know, he's not pointing it at you. He's not being particularly aggressive, right? So if you look in the NPC's dash or in the chat, you'll see that there's a group called the 76 Roadblock. The guy walking towards you is Dylan, right? So if you click and look at that's like he's a slightly older guy, right? He's walking towards the group, and again, he's got this shotgun kind of cradled in his arms. As he gets close enough to get within shouting distance with Mikey and Shimmy, he shouts, "Hey," and then he kind of holds his shotgun up, right? And so it's not pointing it at you, but he's holding it in a gesture of peace, right? So he's walking towards you with the shotgun kind of in one hand pointed up at the sky. And he said hi, and he's held his hand up as he's walking towards you. So what is your reaction to it?
Yeah. yeah, I'll just shout back and just give him a howdy neighbor. And yeah, I mean, I'll just keep walking towards him, hands in the air. I'm not even gonna worry about trying to take out a gun. If he's acting peaceful, I'll take a leap of faith here and just walk towards him. Be like, hey, just passing through. Notice you got a nice roadblock on this place. I'm Shimmy. This is Mikey. Just wanted to come talk, see if it's okay if we just mosey on by, or what the situation is around these parts.
Let's have you, again, this is under checks. Let's have you make a first impressions check. And I'll give you that was beautiful. Oh, the C mod is not working in this, evidently. All right, so pick your, man, I got to fix this modal. This is super weird. All right, so Tim, pick whatever you think is best here, right? So, and I can't see your character sheet at the moment. Manipulation, psychology, or streetwise, or tactics even. And then pick Dylan Rancher from the drop down.
So where is Dylan's there? Hold on. Okay, any C mod on it?
If it gives you a chance to add a C mod to it, yeah, +1. Oh. Okay. All right, so you and again, like we haven't really covered first impressions since for a long while. So if you make a successful first impression, it actually does nothing for you, right? It meaning that you get 0 C mods on anything going forward. You just haven't alienated anyone, right? And so, yeah, exactly, right? You know, you're not coming across weird or threatening or anything, right? So it's basically a neutral first impression. So as you get close, like he's not getting close enough, and you know, people are still a little bit weirded out by the virus and whatever else, right? So as you're getting close enough to talk to him, like he says that his name is Dylan. He says, we didn't put this up for you, by the way. When you say to him, nice roadblock, he points over and says, we just had this up because there's one road in, there's one road out, right? And he said, you know, we were, whatever this building is over here, he said, like, we also weren't waiting for you, right? He said, this is just a happy coincidence. He said, you can hear that thing coming for quite a while, right? He said, so they've been down here, which I think is a Walmart or something, right? So they've been down here just, again, grabbing supplies or doing whatever they were doing. So, you know, he's friendly enough. He explained why he's in this vicinity, but he says, like, that's beautiful. Like, we haven't seen a working vehicle in forever. Where have you guys come from? Where are you going to? So he's doing his check on you to see how he feels about you coming through. So what are you telling him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really any benefit in lying to him, because yeah, I mean, it was what, fucking Apache Junction was the biggest like place that we left by. So I tell him, like, we're just coming up Apache Junction, we're heading north, looking for a better place with some more water, a bit easier. There was some, you know, fighting over the lake back there that we didn't want to get involved in. My buddy Frank managed to keep his little RV running and knew his way around this and that, and we're just taking it as far as we can before it shits the bed on us. Hopefully not, you know what I mean? So
he's like he's not giving off any weird vibes to you or anything, right? I mean, he's kind of like nodding, he's listening to what you're saying, and he says, yeah, that's the thing of beauty. He says, you know, we got someone in town that's trying to get generators going, and we're trying to convert stuff to methanol, but like he keeps running into all these problems, and we can't get it going. He said, is Frankie with you? Like, do you think Frankie would come over and take a look for us?
sadly, Frankie did not make it. He caught a stray bullet in some of the fighting when we were trying to get out of town between the people controlling the water and everything else going on. But I mean, he did know a little bit about a lot of stuff, and he taught me a few things. I'm not a half bad mechanic. I might be able to take a look and show you what I know a little that it is about methanol and conversions.
So, you know, this guy's very, you know, he he breaks into a big smile. He says, like, if you would be, he said, we're going to let you through. He said, we don't own any of this. This is put in for protection. We put this in place. Like he said, like, I don't remember who started putting these things. He said, like, if you'll help us, we'll pull these cars off the road. And by the way, it would be very, as the driver, you wouldn't fancy the chances. This is like a hill here, right? So if you couldn't get through this, like to get around it, you'd have to go down, like you'd have to take Minnie down a bank, right? And so you worry that unless you backed up somewhere and kind of went like a very long way around, there's no way to bypass this unless they're willing to help you. So he says, like, hey, we'll absolutely let you through. We're not here to cause any problems. We're struggling with water as well. Hey, welcome back, Juno. He says the same thing. He said, like, this is about as green as you're ever going to get for Arizona. He said, but we're struggling with the water up here as well. We've been trying to figure it out. That's part of what the generator is for, is to try and get, like, boiling water going again on a regular basis. Because there's, and a lot of this, by the way, a lot of this would be conversation and you'll getting to know each other as you're moving shit out of the way to let Minnie go through. So before I get to that, like, walk me through. It feels like you guys have made a deal. So, Shimmy, what are you and Mikey doing? Like, what is your next step? Are you going back to bring the others up to speed, or like you've made this deal with Dylan? What's next steps for you?
Yeah, I mean, probably just want to know before I go back and take it to him. Be like, oh yeah, I mean, how many people you got in here? Are y'all just settled up in one place? Is there any place that's like off limits? You got problems with bandits? Any place that we shouldn't go? We'll get some of those basic details and then take it back to the group and let them know.
No, he says that this has become like, there was not a lot around here to start with, right? And so, there was, at best, there was like 16, 17,000 people in Payson. He says a lot of those died out really early on. A lot of them were like very old people, right? So when medication stopped flowing and diabetes took control and blah, 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 plus the virus, right? So he said there's probably like 1,000 people in this town, right? Some of them are from Payson, some of them from surrounding areas. He said that, excuse me, so far there's occasional violence. He said that, people look to, there's someone in, excuse me, there's a couple of people in town that, like this next policeman, there's like, a couple of other people that said that they've got, close to order in the town. But he said they're losing more and more people, and people are like you, are heading north or trying to head out of Arizona because it's just so fucking hot here, right? And water really is at a premium here. And so that's been their biggest problem, right? That's, and again, it's why they're trying to get the generator working, because they're capturing, there's a lot of dirty water, but they're unable to do anything to clean it. So this is, again, like as you guys spend maybe an hour or so and like evening is starting to fall, right? So while you were doing that, and by the way, Enya, I don't think you're able to do that. Juno, what are you doing while all this is going on? Are you actually both Enya and Juno, what are you doing while all of this is going on?
I was just keeping the motor running in case things got itchy.
So you're beyond that now, right? Shimmy came back. Hey, Shimmy, in your words, like describe this encounter to or make a plan with your group. And yeah, you have walkie-talkies. Enya's right. So make a plan with your group.
Yeah. Guy up there, Dylan, said, let us through the roadblock. They're having issues with getting a generator going, lack of clean water, trying to do the methanol conversion. I told them we'd help out if they'd let us through. I mean, got as a good feeling as you get meeting strangers on the road after the virus. So unless anyone really wants to go back and do this a much harder way, I say we mosey on in, put on our friendliest faces, help with what we can, and spend the night and take off in the morning.
Mikey acts as your own personal hype man and just says, yep.
Thanks, Mikey.
Yep. I think he's probably going to be personality-wise like Harry Dean Stanton was in, I forget his name, was it Parker in Alien? The original, like that guy that was just like, right. right? So I think that's kind of who Mikey is. He's just your own personal hype man at this point. Any concerns from Juno or from Enya about working with them to clear this this roadblock?
Nothing in particular, but you can tell that she definitely is putting on half a smile, just like it's pretty fake, but it's like, all right, and it's the prospect of having to work with people.
Yeah, she doesn't even like the people here. All right, so the only thing of interest is probably like 45 minutes to clear this roadblock. Again, it's a pretty pretty good roadblock, right? So you got to get the cars out in different orders. So the only thing of interest that happens is the and by the way, Juno, you're staying behind the wheel in case you have to make a getaway at every point, correct?
I was at the beginning, but if we've lightened up, then she can get out and help move stuff, I guess.
So the little girl is kind of, and by the way, you get a good look at her. She's in your character, Julie. So you can see her. So she, she's hanging around. I don't know that either of you give a motherly vibe, but I think that Enya gives off a psycho vibe, right? Maybe a crazy aunt vibe. But Juno, this kid just seems to want to spend a little bit of time with you, right? So she's kind of, as you get off the bus or the RV to come over and help or whatever, or if you stand distant, she's kind of making her way over and she just seems to want to talk to you, right? And, it may have been a while since she's seen another woman. You don't know, right? But she just seems interested in spending time with you, Juno, right? So are you spending time with her? Are you talking to her? Are you sending her on her way, hitting her with a rolled up newspaper? What are you doing?
She's naturally empathic with whoever wants to be. So she'll allow her to ask what she's been doing and what she's good at and get a feel for the kid.
Yeah, so let's have you make a first impressions check again, just because I'm enjoying seeing this come up in logs. Let's give you a +2 because of your gender.
That's sexist, bro.
Sorry. Let's give you a +2 because she hasn't seen a woman for a while, so she's going to lean into that. Is that better?
What's the kid's name?
Julie?
Yeah.
Julie Torres. Oh, spelled different than her dad. Let me fix that.
Yeah, still not made a roll today.
I probably frightened her with the eyebrow and part of my scalp hair missing.
Yes, I'm sure. Oh, lovely. So, you are kind of stern with her, right? So she's hanging around you, but it's not quite the all-female girl reunion that she was hoping for, right? So she, like any good 11 or 12-year-old, is being kind of antagonistic to you, Juno, right? So she was following you around in the hope of making a lifelong friend and someone she can learn from, and now she's just determined to go out of her way to bully you like only an 11 or a 12-year-old can.
What's that box for? Why do you have so many bandages?
Yeah. Why do you look like Jane Lynch? Why do you walk like that? You have thin hips. You have thin hips for a woman. Have you always been a woman? You can tell me. Were you a man at some point? Because you're not very womanly. This is how they fucking talk at that age. Trust me. Like, I was on a field trip earlier today with a bunch of my daughter's schoolmates. This is how these fucking 12-year-olds, they find something you're insecure about, and man, they just leap all over that without you. They just smell it on you. It's disgusting. But anyway, all right, so Juno, you have this girl following you around. You guys get this roadblock clear. It's getting dark now. It's like 5:30, 6 p.m. It's kind of another hour or so. It's getting to be dusk. So let me ask you that, right? Because this, on some level, is going to weigh into your decision here, right? Because you're with strangers and it's getting dark and you don't know where really any of these people are or anything, right? So how, like, again, it's whatever, 5:30, 5:45, whatever time is dusk in the summer out there. How are you guys feeling? What are you discussing? And let's not forget, Juno has a little shadow here. Walk me through your interactions or what you guys are planning.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess once we get in, yeah, if Dylan's still around or whoever we're dealing with, kind of, yeah, ask about where can we park and set up for the night. Where's your generator? I mean, we still got a couple of hours, but I want to get my people set up and make sure they, feel comfortable and we can do our own checks and see what's going on, and then we'll see what we can do to look at your setup and help with anything we can do.
So there was a couple of different questions in there, right? So I'm pinging now where the and by the way, you're still down here at this roadblock, right? So excuse me, it's really not very far, but you're got to go from there to just up here. Your question about where can you stay, he gets a little bit more cagey about this. He says, we really appreciate the fact you're willing to help us, and let's see how long this takes. And, if we can get this done tonight, let's just send you on your way so you can go out, kind of head out the north route here. And again, like, Payson is very much like isolated. It's very kind of one road through and it's blocking the way, right? He says, no disrespect, but we don't know you. And he points to Julie and he says, we have a couple of kids here, more than a couple of kids. He said, I'm sure you're all great. And he points to the two women. He says, I'm sure you're all wonderful and there's no threat. He said, I don't know how comfortable we are with having strangers inside the city, essentially the city limits after dark. He says, let's see if we can send you on your way. And if not, maybe you can just stay down here by the roadblock again, right? Maybe you can, this is a gas station where they were kind of waiting for you, right? And this is actually a hotel now that I think about it. So, you've got plenty of rooms down here, but he either wants you gone or he wants you kind of he doesn't really want you close to anyone. That makes sense to you?
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. I don't have any problem with that. That makes sense to me. So yeah, I mean, yeah, let's head up and take a look at your setup and see what it looks like, and then we'll figure out the rest. Either way, I'm fine with being on our way or just getting out of your hair and being on the outskirts of town if it comes to that.
Yeah. So
I would say, hearing that I'm not wanted, I would immediately try to change the subject in the middle of the conversation. Be like, "Got any batteries?"
We don't. We scavenged everything. Like there's a bunch of stuff we don't have much of anymore, like batteries, toilet paper, all the fun stuff. That's all gone.
Well, I got a couple flashbangs. What would you get me for them?
And he seems genuinely interested. He's like flashbangs? What would you want for him?
Oh, ideally, I'm looking for a battery. I mean, they don't even have to be like double A's, like even just like a car battery.
Is this like the C4? Are you going to be chewing on this? What is this battery for?
Just to have another battery. I was hoping for something like double A's, but it sounds like he doesn't have them or is not interested in trading them. So, I mean, it's always nice to have a power source. But the flashbangs I have are like the 3 or 4 that I've already pulled all the powder of, so they're useless.
Oh, okay. So he doesn't have any. He says that where you're going to, he's taking you to meet Marlowe, right? So Marlowe's the guy that's been working on on getting the generator working and on the stills. He said Marlowe's probably got some, like we turn everything that might be useful over to him. He's the one that's trying to get all the lights working again and trying to get things going. So he doesn't have any for you, but he's pretty sure that he'll be able to give you some when you get to Marlowe's place.
I'll hand him 2 of the 4 as like a goodwill offering and said, "Go ahead, surprise me."
He takes the flashbangs. He's super grateful, right? He hands them back to one of the other NPCs that's there, Drew Osborne, right? So he hands them off to Drew, and he's kind of like, they both seem really thrilled that they've got something. And he says, "Yeah, we haven't had too many problems with outsiders, and we think it's remote, but we've had problems, right? Like, every now and then." like someone will turn up, and he said you can barely trust the person standing next to you. How are you going to trust the stranger? So they're thrilled that you've given them these flashbangs, because it feels to them, even though they don't know they're broken, feels to them like this is high quality shit.
Oh, trust me, just having a visual of them more than enough for a threat for a person. And when in doubt, you get too many animals around, you can always play.
So it's a 15-minute or so drive for you guys to get there on Mini. Dylan wants to get on the bus with you, like, and he's not being pushy, but he's like, "Hey, we haven't like been on a car or anything moving? Like, can we get on this with you and just like drive up, or rather than, you all walking along at the same speed?" He said it's going to take us like 5-10 minutes in order, if we get there, or 15 minutes if we go with you. It's going to take us an hour and a half to walk there. Can we drive up with you, like, so that we get there before dark?
Did you say drive up? Do you mean like hop in Mini with us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were asking. I mean, up there to Juno, she's been the skeptical one so far. I mean, at the very least, we would probably want to go through many and make sure everything's put away, so that they don't come in here and start thinking like, oh, there's a lot of good shit in here. Maybe we should just take it.
Yeah, we'll clean everything into the cupboards and then just get them to sit down.
Yeah, and just, I mean, it'd be very polite. They were direct with us and be like, hey, you can come on board. Appreciate it if you'd stay up here at the front, not go poking around. You don't trust strangers. We don't trust strangers. We'll just all respect boundaries and get this thing done and be on our merry ways, yeah?
This is probably the first time you've seen Enya be proactive, because she's had a little project she's been working on. So she gives that little like glare of suspicion, and then immediately, huddles back into the RV and starts cleaning up her mess.
All right, I'm putting the in the handouts channel. I'm just putting up the map. And by the way, you can see this in the Mini handout, but this is the map of Mini. So I think that there's 5 of them. You could probably only get 3. So Dylan wants to bring the kid and her dad, right? So, the other 2 guys are going to stay down here by the roadblock and make sure nothing comes through. It's probably too dark and they're underpowered in order to be able to like get all of these back. But these 2 guys are going to stay down here as a rear guard action. And Dylan asked to get on with with Alex and Julie Torres.
Yeah, and as long as they're okay with that and they stay kind of towards the front and don't go poking around, they can stay in the front, sit in the little dinette or the sofa bed or whatever is up there, and just keep Juno and Mikey kind of like between them and the back, and probably keep Enya away from talking to people ever again.
Yeah, that probably sounds like a wise move. I think you're right. I think having the strangers sit at the dinette, I think because there's 3 of them, right? You can have them there, One, Mikey could be on the sofa bed. I don't want to say keeping his eye on them, right? But kind of keeping his eye on them. So, all right. So, Shimmy, you're driving. Enya and Juno. Where are you in the car, or in the RV rather?
Oh, probably sitting in front of whatever cabinet has my ammo box. And just watching the people at the dinette.
So it's I wasn't trying to set that up like something weird was going to happen. I made it seem like there was an ambush or something coming. So nothing's coming, right? It takes you like 15, 20 minutes or so. You get to this area of town. It's largely an industrial park, right? This seems to be whatever this building is. You get there. It's evidently some kind of workshops, right? So you go in. There's a bunch of equipment in there. Inside of one of the buildings, or as you get there, inside of one of the buildings, there is you hear like a really like a loud noise coming from inside, right? It's again the sound of a generator or something that's really kind of like working on overtime. So you guys get there. Alex tells you to follow me. As you get out, the girl keeps following Juno, just doing impersonations of her and being a bitch to her the whole time. He takes you inside. You meet another guy who seems kind of wary of you. Dylan walkie-talkied or radioed ahead and let this guy who just got into your NPC tab, Marlowe, excuse me, he let him know that you guys were coming. And by the way, there's another guy, guard in here as well. So Marlowe has somebody with him, whether he's a bodyguard or whether he's just like another guard, it doesn't matter. But he's somebody who kind of looked you guys all up and down a little bit suspiciously. What's his name? Dylan walks you over. Sage, Shimmy, unless somebody else is stepping up, it feels like you're the de facto leader in his eyes. Would you be going, and the mechanic, I mean, it makes sense that you'd be going in with him. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so.
Beautiful. So he kind of walks you in, as you get there, he's like, hey, come with me, let's go in and meet Marlowe. You go inside. There's a bunch of equipment in here. I mean, you can see like a huge generator that they're working on, right? It's part of the building. You're not entirely sure what this is. But this is, there's this huge generator. So Marlowe comes over. Dylan does some introductions to you. Can we have you make a first impressions check on Marlowe?
On Marlowe?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's give you a +1 because Dylan's, selling you up as being people that could help him get the generator working.
Right on. Right.
I got to fix this wording. You make a first impression. Of all the first impressions you've ever made, this was definitely one of them. Hold on.
This is one of them. That's right.
All right. So he seems, again, Dylan's done a good enough job of introducing you. He walks over, he shakes your hand. Dylan says, hey, this is Shimmy. He's part of this group. They've got a working vehicle outside. Like, they've got a fucking RV. It's on the road, right? And they've converted it to ethanol or to methanol. So, Marlowe seems really pleased. He's like, oh, right. He says, we have this generator. We can get it working, but we can't get it working for more than about 15, 20 minutes at a time. And I think it's getting dirty with the methanol, but he's not quite sure what it is. So he asked you if you would be willing to take a look.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do. Show me your setup. Give me the dime tour, and I'll take a look and see if I can give you some pointers and or pull out some tools and help. Yeah.
So he bemoans the loss of daylight, right? He's like, man, I wish you'd gotten here a little bit earlier. He said, like, let's get working before we lose it all. And they have some, and you'll be pleased to see this. They have some flashlights. They have actually a mini generator that seems to be working. And they've got a couple of like welders' lights that they've hung up. But it is pretty dark in there, right? So you're looking around the shop for 2 funnels and a 30-inch hose. So it brings me to that point. Juno and Enya, what it sounds like Enya's looting. What are you doing, Juno? You're trying to repair your relationship with this child.
Oh, good shit. I'll just be back up for Jimmy. Make sure while he's doing stuff that nothing happens.
Beautiful. And then are you genuinely trying to find stuff?
I'm browsing the shelves. Like, I'm not looking to pull for it, but I'm probably going to do something that looks a little bit kind of genuine to kind of help Juno out a little bit. What was the girl's name? Julia?
Julia. Or Julie.
I'll look to her and say, hey, Gloria, come here.
So let's have you make a first impressions check on her. And I'm going to give you a +1 for that, calling her Gloria. So she appreciates the fact you got her name wrong, right? And again, you got half, like she I don't know, she makes a comment about your bald spot or the lack of scalp you've got, or like she calls you Frankenstein or something. So you two have a kind of like a bit of a sparky relationship going, and I don't know if that helps Juno or not, but she is still looking for a female role model. So she now spends her time torturing you and asking you what it is that you're looking for as you're wandering around. And by the way, Sage, the other NPC who was Marlowe's guard, he's keeping a very close eye on you, right? I mean, I don't know that he's convinced about any of you. So he's watching very closely to see what it is that you're doing as you start looking through these shelves. That was to you specifically, Enya.
That's fair. I'm gonna ask her. Basically, I'm gonna try to get out of her what she does around here. I mean, like, yeah, I understand you're like 12 and all, but like, what responsibilities do you even have?
So she kind of like almost does a duh look at you. She says like, I have to go to school. She said, I'm not the only kid. Like, you know, the rest of the time they make us go out on scavenging runs where, you know, we've got a couple of farmlands that we're trying to grow here and a couple of like plots of land in like a couple of parks across the city. Said like, well, she said like everyone has a job. Everyone has something to do here. You don't get to goof off very often.
All right, well, how about this? You go find me a couple funnels, you know, one that you can stick your face up to and shout in, and I'll give you a box of matches and I'll teach you how to start a fire. Start cooking at the campfire.
Her eyes light up, and then as you make that clarification, you can see that she's disappointed, right? She thought that, you know, she sees the pyrotechnic in your soul, or the pyromaniac in your soul. She thought you were going to teach her to start a very big fire and burn the whole fucking world down. But like, she, you know, she'll take what you offer. So she
After that,
Mini Psycho Junior.
she scuttles off to find you the funnels and the rope you're looking for. Let's have you this wouldn't be a group check at this point. Shimmy, let's have you make a mechanics check and see what you if anything, see what you can figure out about this generator.
T-mods?
You know, I'm inclined to give you a -1 actually, because it's a very unfamiliar piece of equipment, and it's also you're losing daylight. So -1.
That's fair. You know, I do want this to go well, so I think this is worth. I'm going to burn an insight die here because I think, and you can get us in a lot of trouble here. I'm going to make as much inroads as I can.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, so
Triple sixes. Got it right back.
oh wow, that is freaking beautiful. That may be the highest die roll we've yet seen. Like genuinely, like in all the time we've been playing, I don't remember anyone ever getting 3 6s +2 in 20. If I hadn't screwed with you. All right. Hey, so you figure it out straight away, right? I mean, like almost immediately, you start looking around and you realize, you know, insert techno babble here, right? Like they're doing a bad job of like keeping the pipes clean, or the methanol needs to be poured in a different way, or they need to get the sediment out and run it through cloth before they put it in there. So you're able to identify it pretty quickly. And this guy Marlowe, like he's talking to you the whole time, right? And he's fucking thrilled, right? He says he's a biochemist, he's not a mechanic. He understands all of this, but he's like, this isn't his skills. Like he's been trying to get this generator working. Like you figure it out. Let's have you make a group check. I don't know if you can include an NPC. Let me see. Can you do a group check? Can you include an NPC?
Yeah. I mean, well, Mikey, because he's the only one in our group, but he's the only one.
Yeah, let me tell you what. Let's just add it as a C mod. Let's do it a little bit differently. So you would get +4 because of this guy's reason and mechanics. So you'd get a +4 making a group check with him.
All right. What is the group check and who's in it?
Just do it as you, and then we'll add it as a C mod, which will be again +4 C mod.
Okay. Mechanics check?
Yeah, mechanics.
Okay. 4. All right.
Beautiful. So it takes you it takes you a couple of hours, right? And in that time, Julie comes back and she comes up to you and she's really thrilled. And she says, you know, I had to steal these. Like I broke into the, whatever she tells you she got them from, like the, you know, the commissary or whatever it was, or the cook hall or something. She said, like, I knew someone that had these, and I went and stole them. And she holds them up like they're a bouquet of flowers for you. So you now have your funnels or whatever it was that you asked her for. And it takes a couple of hours, but you guys get the generator working, right? And so it's probably, I don't know, maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock, a couple of hours after you started. It's proper full on dark now. But, you know, to much to your joy, the generator kicks into life, right? And the room itself starts to do that. Like there's lights in the room, and this is the first room to receive power. So there's a couple of seconds where they dim, and then they brighten, and then they dim, and then they go static. And everyone, like the 5 people in the room or 6 people or whatever it is, like everyone's just ecstatic and clapping and whooping and hollering. Like this is the first time the generator has worked properly. And it's because you, Shim, were able to identify what had broken and what had gone wrong along the way, right? Or what they were doing wrong. So everyone is absolutely fucking ecstatic, right? And they're clapping and hugging you. Dylan's so glad that you guys came along. So they say to you, like, hey, like, do you guys have food? Do you want to come and eat with us? Like, what do you want to do?
Quite the way when they're trying to kick us out.
We just made their lives a whole lot fucking better. So, I'll double check with Juno and Enya, but tell them like, hey, this actually went a lot better. So there's some rudimentary stuff wrong with their generator, but I think we got it all worked out. They're gonna be able to turn this and start making their own methanol and keep the lights on a little bit easier. I mean, kind of up to us as a group. I mean, they invited us to eat, but do we want to grab a meal? Do we want to think about staying and pressing our luck, or are we in the mindset that we should just put miles between us and get back on the road?
We ask them if they've got some food we can just take with us, and we'll be out of there, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, like Dylan seems a little bit disappointed that you guys don't want to, stop. But he's like, yeah, let's just go over to Bobby's. Let's go over and we can pack you some lunches or, give you some food to take along the way. He says it kind of good natured. He's not really mocking you. But he suggests going over to, where is that? I don't know if that popped up on your guys' map, but it is here.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of within walking distance, right? And so you can absolutely take Minnie. And by the way, no weirdness here, but I'm not sure you'd want to leave Minnie behind at any point, right? It feels like this is probably the 100%. most valuable thing in the world at the moment, right? So it's only like literally a minute or 2 drive. So Dylan points to you and says, "Hi, there's a bunch of people that gather there every night. There's like basically a soup kitchen." He said it goes on till 9 o'clock, right, or until they've run out of food. So he has a watch, and he's he says like we should still be good if we head over there now. We should be able to get some food.
Beautiful. Yeah, we'll head on over.
I can go get Minnie if you want to walk.
No, I don't think you should be alone right now, Enya, after everything you've been through.
What do you mean?
It's been a traumatic. It's been a traumatic.
I'm capable of moving Minnie from there to there. I'm not crazy all the time. I know how to drive.
I'm sure you do.
Fine, I'll just come with you then. You'll see me start rummaging in the back while you're moving the Mini.
All right, so they whether you walk or whether you drive, it's like a 5, 6, 7 minute walk. It's literally just across the way. It's a 1 minute drive when you get there. There are and do you walk or do you drive?
Drive, yeah.
So it's word has kind of gone around. Again, they have radios in town, right? Kind of word's gone around the you're here. But like, I mean, people just start clapping and cheering as Minnie pulls in, right? It feels like, and I'm assuming that Dylan and Julie and Alex are still with you, but it's Dylan gets out and is like, pointing to you guys, and he's like, they helped Marlo get it fixed, and he points over back towards where the workshop is, and you can see the glow in the night, right? I mean, like there's, back at the workshop, it's like it's literally glowing. And you're only over here, so as you look over, it's like the people are. It's almost like they're seeing the coming of God. You know what I mean? Like it's electricity when they haven't seen it regularly for a while. So Dylan says, "Hey, I guess that they're on a journey. They don't want to stop here." So he people are coming up and talking to you, and it's again kind of a weird experience where you feel you've gone from living on this compound to suddenly, and not really seeing too many people over the course of the last however long, to suddenly being surrounded by people that are just asking you all a bunch of questions and like so grateful of what you've done in order to get the generator working. So Dylan goes inside, he comes out, and let me make a note of this. He comes out with let's call it 6 luxury rations. Yeah. Let me just make a note of that. All right.
We like your steak medium rare, and however you serve lobster is fine.
It's only luxury because you're living off shit, right? And so this is not military grade stuff. It's not like good chocolate, but it's freshly cooked stuff, right? And they've obviously got some farmlands growing, so whatever it is, it feels like a luxury, right? So for the next 6 times you guys eat, there's a possibility you're going to lose one of your stress points, right? Because the meal will have been like that good, right? Or just like, like buoyed your spirits so much, right? So they're all thrilled. They give you this food. Dylan says to you a couple of times, "Are you sure you don't want to stay the night? Are you sure you want to head out?" And he says, I know I was a little bit cautious about having you, but he points around and he's like, "We got families here. We just, we're trying to be cautious." He said, "But you guys spent your time getting this working. You haven't asked us for anything. Like, if you want to spend the night here, there's plenty of houses. There's plenty of parts of town where it's empty, but it's intact. You'd be able to spend the night indoors. You wouldn't be sleeping in an RV. Completely your choice."
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're still being cautious, and as long as unless everybody has a change of heart and thinks they want to stay, I'm fine getting on the road, or at least heading to the northern outskirts and maybe looking for someplace a little away from the population here.
Yeah, I think so.
We did our good deed. No need to press our luck, especially if Julie's any indication of what the fucking people are going to get up to when they get bored.
You mean tease people?
Probably safer for these people if they're not around Enya any more than they have to be.
Listen, I still got to hold up to my end of the bargain and look at Jerry and say, "Hey, how about them batteries or whatever you found?"
So he gives you, and I don't know if you had a particular type in mind, but it gives you 6. Put it on your character sheet or put it in your notes or whatever. But it gives you 6 batteries of whatever type you were looking for. Like, literally throws a cardboard pack at you, and it feels like fucking Christmas, given how long it's been since you've seen anything in packaging, right? So it feels like you were just given something brand new.
You said 6?
Yeah. So Dylan says one more time, "Yeah, I'm not going to pretend not to be disappointed, but I totally get it if you want to get on your way." He says, "Up to you. It feels crazy to go driving this late at night, given the state of the roads." So he says, "There's another roadblock that's, let me share the map with you. There's another roadblock up here that stops people coming from in and out of town." But he said, this is a Home Depot. He said, like, if you want to spend the night in the car park there, if you want to go in the store, whatever. He said, there's a church here. He said this is where their guards sleep, and there's always someone at this roadblock. He said, but he could radio ahead and get you, in with the guards. He said he doesn't really want to remove the roadblock overnight, but you might be able to even get over to this area over here, which is, he said, it's almost empty, right? No one ever sleeps up here, but there's a bunch of houses. He thinks the whole area is probably empty. So up to you. You can just leave the town. You can spend here, go at dawn. You can slightly leave the town and go and sleep in what appears to be an empty housing development. What do you guys want to do? Where are you spending the night?
It's a toss-up. I assume the Home Depot is probably going to be more empty than the housing development in terms of having been just looted top to bottom.
Correct.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Gino, Anya?
We just leave. The longer we're here, the more ideas they might get about keeping us around, given we were so useful.
I mean, we can go a couple miles outside of town. Yeah. That's fine. I mean, I think once we get outside of town proper, there's probably not going to be many places besides just pull over on the side of the road and do either sleep in the RV or just camp. But I mean, these people don't have working vehicles at this point, so putting even just 4 or 5 miles between us and them, they're not going to risk going outside that far outside of town in the fucking dark on foot.
Very, very true. I'm going to say again how much of a rarity what you've got going here is, right, with Mini, right? And you know it, right? You know it's going to be kind of like a cause for attention and whatever else. But you do have that option to keep going, right? And to kind of just get out of Dodge. Now, what you do know is that they're really... let me share my map with you. This is all... this is fucking desolate, right? I mean, there really isn't a lot out here, right? If you switch to Topo, you can see it. Oh, sorry, share my view. You can see it here. Like there aren't many towns. Like you know what I mean? Like there's really not a lot out here, right? So you would be, not that there's anything wrong with this, and this is probably going to account for a lot of your journey. But you're either going to want to find like housing developments, because that's really all these are. Like they're not even proper towns, like just really housing developments, or just camp in the open road. So kind of up to you what you do. And by the way, this town is more of a proper town than the other one, right? But again, these all feel like very small places. So completely up to you where you go once you leave the town. And let me just do one last thing. In fact, you're probably going to want to do this yourself, because I can't share a route with you. But on the map, if you scroll out enough, you'll be able to see. Share that view. You'll be able to see Flagstaff, which is your next stopping point, right? That just up here to the north, and just down here. This is where you are at the moment. So again, you might want to plot a route, but you can tell me where you're going to be on that road.
Can we ask if there's anything they know about up north?
No, he said, candidly, and he mentioned this at, some point earlier in the conversation, like their population's been shrinking, right? Like they, older people died off earlier. They don't really have as much food and water as they need. They're just starting to get farming working now, but this is pretty arid, shitty land, right? And he said between accidents, ill health, the occasional burst of violence, and people just wandering off, he said, like, it feels like the community's getting smaller and smaller. So he said, like, he hasn't heard from anyone else. They haven't had any visitors. Like, they haven't had, all of their effort is going to try and turn the land into something here. They haven't really heard from anybody outside of their own town.
So, I mean, it does look like there's some houses just, a couple miles up the road at this next, junction.
Correct. It's 3.5 miles away. It's about a 10, 12-minute drive. And I think that's I thought that was a golf course. Let me just check in and see what that is.
I don't know. I just saw a bunch of houses. It looks like it's a community.
You're right. East Verdes Estate. Picnic area. Yeah, this mostly does look like a housing estate from what I'm seeing here. So, but that's perfect, right? So you get up there. And by the way, let's have you make let's have you make another driving check, just because it is in the dark, roads are shitty, like you don't have like very strong headlights. Again, like you have to disable a bunch of systems, so you've got kind of very lukewarm headlights for a minute. Let's make sure you don't have any tragic accident here.
Is there a negative C mod for all those?
There actually is for just for driving at night. Hold on, let me look up what. Night driving is -2. Or you can do a check each hour if you drive at 10 miles an hour instead. Yeah, you drive. Yeah. Again, I gotta fix this log entry. Hold on 1 second. We need more details than just shimmy paint drives mini. Beautiful. So you get up there, you take it nice and slow. You're able to get up here, and what is your plan when you get up towards this development? What are you looking for, or what are you doing here?
Yeah, I mean, probably just looking for the closest place that we can park and find a place to sleep inside. I mean, if we can find some place that actually has a big old garage to park Minnie inside, that's always preferable than leaving her out. But I think just make sure that there's no signs of life. You know, there's no smoke on the wind, there's no fires, and just look for a place to pull over and spend the night.
Have you make a survival?
Any building will do.
There's no building big enough for Mini. I'm looking around here. There's no building around here that's big enough for Mini. But let's have you make and you do this as a group check. Make a perception or a survival check.
I don't have anything for survival, so I don't think it matters from my current point of view.
What about you, Enya?
I've got +1.
Oh, you got +1.
I only got from Rapid, so I've got a 0 for survival.
Well, let's have. I think Juno's the only one. I mean, you can wrap them in. Like, I don't know if they have. Do you have acumen as well? Probably worth wrapping them in.
Survival, I got this one.
Okay. So one of you make a group check.
Group check for survival. Anya apparently has the best survival because she was leaving.
Oh, I love it. Hi, beautiful. So, you feel really confident that you found a quiet spot, right? I mean, there's no smell of smoke, like you said. There's, it feels. I mean, just to call it quiet feels like an understatement. It's almost scary how quiet this feels, this dark at night, right? So you're able to find any spot you want inside of this area here to park. And again, there's nowhere you might be able to find. I'm looking around. Maybe there's a garage big enough for you to store Mini, but I don't see one that comes to mind. So she's probably going to be out on the street with you tonight, or you're probably going to have to sleep. But or actually, up to you. How are you going to sleep? You're gonna stay in Mini, or you're going to find a house?
We probably find a house. I assume even in this sort of scenario, we always set a watch, so the watch is probably going to be stationed outside with Minnie or on top of Minnie, keeping an eye on the house and everything outside.
Juno, do you take part in that as well?
I don't think so.
Okay, beautiful. So, it's an uneventful night. You wake up bright and early next morning. Let me move the time on in the campaign. All right. You wake up bright and early. You're able to enjoy those rations that you got as part of that. What is the plan for the day? And by the way, can someone go in and mark off another half tank of fuel?
How do you just one half?
Yeah.
How do you remove items from mini?
I was gonna ask that too. I wasn't sure because it looks like you can just like delete the entire thing rather than reduce it, right?
Oh, I thought that was editable. All right, I will fix that by next time. What did you want to do?
Well, I need to take off the 5 flashbangs, 4 that I took apart for my project, and the one in chat there that I slipped to Julia, the real one.
All right, let me.
5.
5. All right, so bright and early next morning. What is your plan? You're gonna get on the road. You're gonna spend the day brewing. What are your plans?
That's a good question. What are we actually down to for gas?
2.
2 days.
I would suggest, based on the time it takes to do this, that bare minimum, unless we're under stress, at 2 and halfway, we probably should brew back up to full. I mean, especially the opportunity we have here.
I mean, this is a probably comfier place than what we're looking to go into. I don't know how many more other communities we're going to pass by where we have some buildings, some places to scavenge, have a nice place where we can do this. So yeah, I mean, if we want to stop and brew now, that probably is not a bad idea.
All right,
While
beautiful.
we're brewing, can we scavenge around and see if we can find anything else that will store definite?
Wait, scavenge around and look for stuff to store more ethanol.
Yeah, so that we can cook more, dry further.
Oh, have at it. Let's have you. Let's have someone make the brew check. So open up the mini pop out.
Which is what is that the tinker check? I don't.
No, it's on the mini character sheet or on the pop out for mini. If you look down under driver, there's a brewer.
Yeah, I mean, what does it actually involve? Oh, okay, it does. So it is a tinkering check. Okay.
Yep, or a mechanics check.
Yeah, looks like. Oh, it's either one.
Yeah, and it shows you what you have in there. So you have +2 in mechanics, 0 in tinkerer, and you're actually +3 in mechanics, 2 in tinkerer. Juno has +3 in mechanics as well.
Wow. Everybody's a better mechanic than me and doing mechanical kit.
Hold on one second. Let me...
No, I've got Tinkerer. I don't have.
Yeah, there's something.
Not accurate.
Yeah, perfect. Let me make a note of that as well.
Because mine, I think, is actually accurate. Mechanics +2, nothing in Tinkerer, yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess I have +2 deck, so.
Let's have you make that brewing check.
Oh, you know what it is? It says plus, but then there's a minus written.
I don't have mechanics or tinkerer.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, by default it says plus, but then.
So yeah, I guess at the top up, and you got tinkering +2. I've got mechanics +2. We're basically the same. You wanna take a roll at that? I feel like I've been rolling a lot tonight.
Oh, for brewing? Yeah, I can do that. Now I do have another project I'm trying to get on.
Juno's chastising you for giving shit away.
Yeah, so it just uses whatever's best.
Is
for
that
this brew pack.
is that what you're seeing?
Well, I see my name listed, and then I see my mechanics -3, tink +2, and then I just mark and check.
I don't know if it gives you the choice or if it's just automatic.
Oh yeah, okay. No, I just click Windows and see what happens. Yeah, that's all I gotta do. Was there supposed to be a CMOB?
No, there was not.
Okay.
So let me
I'm
see.
too busy thinking about my side project.
That's good news for everyone, given that you're playing with highly flammable liquid. Let's see, so brew days. Every brew day requires a mechanics check. Characters operating the still, monitoring the conversion process, and dealing with whatever the day brings. Still is fragile, temperamental, and running on improvised fuel. So you just got a failure. It wasn't a dire failure, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was 6.
The batch is slow or partially contaminated. A complication is introduced. I'm just because it's getting on. I want to be conscious it's getting later there for Tim. We'll say you got 1 day's fuel out of it rather than 2 days fuel, which is what you should have got, right? So it doesn't mean you failed completely, and it doesn't mean the still is damaged. It just means that it was a shitty brew, right? So if you can add 1 day's worth of fuel to the reserves,
A full day, so 2 halves.
yep.
So I know you just said to respect Tim's time, but real quick, the storage operation in the still, how is that happening mechanically if necessary? Because to Matt's point, if we're going to store stuff, depending on where it's pulling the methanol from, I mean, there's a gray and a black tank. It'd be super easy just to dump it straight down to the toilet in the black tank, and anytime we need to top it off, literally just go outside and drain it from the black.
Wait, explain that to me again. What do you mean?
So, what is holding the ethanol to go into? Are we just brewing and pouring straight into Minnie's gas tank?
No. You got plastic. Let me. You got like 50-gallon or 55-gallon plastic drums, and you have a few of these. Let me pop it into chat. Sorry, it's a very big link there. It's that kind of plastic drum, right? So you have a bunch of those. Frankie had installed a bunch of those around. So you're putting the ethanol in, you're distilling it, and it's coming out and you're filling these. And then you have to take these, and again, like you fill Mini before you fill these tanks. That makes sense?
Yeah, because I was just thinking to Matt's point, if we're going to have other storage containers, most RVs, if they have a bathroom or a shower unit, they have black or gray tanks, and we could literally just feed it right down the toilet, and whatever the drain is on the outside, if we ever need to fill it up, we could just literally drain and dump it in the tank.
Hey, let's make a note of that, and let's come back to that next week. I want to wrap up just in deference to it being late there with Tim. Excuse me. So it's bright and early the next morning, right? So you spend the day brewing. You've filled the tanks. Did you? You also said you were scavenging, right? And you were particularly looking for more storage options. Is that right?
Yeah. I would think with this many houses, it'd be easy to find some cans.
Yeah, and you were spending the day brewing and screwing it up. Let's have Juno and, assuming you go together, let's have Juno and Shimmy make a group check, scavenging.
Shimmy's gonna find a new hole in the roof just above his seat.
Do that too.
Happening, yeah. Good check. So Juno, Shimmy.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, so you found exactly that, right? So you found I'm trying to think what's fair. Do you think an extra? Let's call it a full day, and I'll edit the sheet. But you found enough of those drums, and you're able to find secure places like on the roof, like they're not, if Enya's up in the sniper's perch and it takes a bullet, then like these tanks will probably go up like grenades. But you're able to. I will edit the character sheet to add another day's fuel to this. But you find enough of those. So that's. You have a fairly successful day as opposed to Enya's middling day. You come back with more storage. She wasn't able to produce enough fuel to add more, so you could put that, the fuel into the storage. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So bright and early the next morning. What is your plan? What are you doing? Where are you heading, or what is the goal?
Yeah, I think just gonna have another one. Start heading towards Flagstaff, or we want to spend another day collecting.
Let's collect and then we can bypass. Otherwise, we've got to definitely stop in Flagstaff.
Maybe, maybe not. Right? You've got 1, 2, 3 days worth of fuel at the moment, right? So you could actually at this point completely bypass Flagstaff if you want. And Flagstaff is a pretty big city, by the way. So in terms of places you'd want to go and places you wouldn't want to go, I'm not saying you wouldn't want to go to Flagstaff, but it's the biggest town you're going to come to until you end up in Salt Lake City. If there was a lot of people or places that might be scary, Flagstaff could be one of those places. And by the way, again, you're here, and this is Flagstaff up there. So, and it's like 100 miles or 97 miles or something away from where you are. It looks further than this at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, in that regard, it might be a good idea to really get as much done before we get on the road and start moving. If it is going to be the biggest place, then we can be well stocked up and take a long way around it. So yeah, let's spend another day collecting in the area. We can collect and scavenge, and if there's anything else that we can benefit from, let's do it now.
Beautiful. So let's have you make.
And check out if there's anything which we'd consider to be tradable with Flagstaff.
All right, so let's come back to that in a second. Let's have you make the gathering check. So again, a group check is scavenging. I'll give you a +1. This is a pretty. There's lots of stuff in this area for you to gather, like fences and all the different shit that you could use for this. So the +1 on the check.
Everyone participating, or is anybody sitting out?
Well, do you want another bird check?
Do you have enough material to do another brew check before we scavenge again?
Oh, I have nothing.
No. You can store like 1 day's worth of brewing material on Mini, and then you have to stop and kind of convert that or brew it, and that'll give you 2 days worth of fuel. So you burn all of the stuff. So if you wouldn't have to brew the stuff now, you could take it and just store it in Mini for the next time you want to stop.
Yeah. All right. Everybody's enough.
I'd suggest that you toggle on the on Mini there for brewing supplies or no.
Oh, beautiful. So you
Yeah, I actually don't think it's possible for us to fail that check when everyone's involved, because we have a base +10. So unless we get a negative CMOD, I don't think we can fail the group scavenging check.
I think that's fair. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll find what you want, right? But I do think. Tell me again what you were looking for in this. Oh, this was the scavenging check for the materials. So, there's actually I'd written this down. There's enough material for 2 batches, so you get to bank a spare tank. So let me make notes of that for myself. I need to update Minnie that she's got more storage than I originally thought.
Actually, you could probably do it something like auxiliary compartments or whatever, and then you could do drop down whether. Well, depending on what we talk about next week, fuel, general storage, brewing supply.
All right. So, all right. Thank you for that. All right. So you have 2 days worth of materials for the next time you decide you want to stop. And as you had a wild success there, like you said about like scavenging for other useful materials. Tell me what you were looking for, and like we'll figure out if you found it.
I was thinking anything we could trade in Flagstaff if we were in an eye out for anything which may be considered valuable, even though we don't want it. It was useful up there.
So
nobody has the ability to drive around.
Let's have you all make an individual scavenging check.
I was too busy looking for duct tape and I couldn't find any.
Hey, so you both found, and you can decide what it is. It is something that you're not going to want to keep, but something you could use for a +1 if you were doing a barter check. So again, if you can go to the notes tab and just make a note that you've got that, or write it, there's an area on your character sheet. Just remember that you both have a +1 to any barter check, or a +2 if you were to combine it and one person was to do it. You found, again, not batteries, because then you'll try and suckle them down, but maybe you found baby formula, or maybe you found, who knows, right? Something that would still be useful to someone in the form of a +2 C mod. That work?
Or generator that we don't want.
Generator,
Actually,
that would have to, that generator's too big a deal. Like someone would have found a generator by this point, right? It's too valuable, I think.
so this is probably like the second or third time you've come up with it this way. I think if you're going to phrase something like this, I like it. I think you should probably, so similar to Deathmatch Island, it might be a good idea to have something on a character sheet if you're going to be vague about what the boost is. Maybe you have like an advantage tab for
Oh, I
something
like
like
that.
what you're speaking on. Whether it's like plus check for barter, plus check for, in my case, demolitions. I think it's worth it with how rules light you're kind of trying to be with the more storytelling.
Yeah. Advanced. All right,
Maybe
beautiful.
something works with them under skill checks.
Yeah. I think it should just be on the character sheet again. Like it's to your point. It's kind of because we've also done this the second time I've done it this evening. To your point, right, about saying, "Hey, you're successful, so that will give you something in the future." We need a better way to be able to track it. All right, so again, successful day all in all. You found enough material to bank for 2 days worth of brewing materials. You also found enough stuff that you'd be able to trade at the next port of call, whether it's Flagstaff or somewhere else. So that takes you up to maybe, let's assume you did all of this in the same day. So it's bright and early at 7 a.m. What are you guys going to stay here for another day, or are you getting underway? What's the plan?
I'm in the process of taking the funnels and the hose and the hole that I put in the ceiling and jerry rigging something that looks like one of those little things at a kid's playground with the little horns that go underground with the tubing. And it's literally just two cups on a string so that it goes from the driver's seat all the way up to the gun on the roof.
So that you can talk to whoever's down there, like almost like in a ship where they used to have those old-fashioned like phones they talk to with each other. You have one of those going down to the driver. Is that right?
Yep, then I don't have to mess around with walkie-talkies and we can just shout at each other.
Oh, I love that. That seems that obviously the best way to do things. All right, so what's the plan? What are you up to?
Yeah, I mean, unless we're going to stay here and actually brew and spend another day here, which I guess we did collect. That was kind of the thought process. We just want to stay and brew and try and top off on fuel as much as we can.
Oh, you're gonna. Sorry, I misunderstood. You're gonna brew as well.
I think it kind of makes sense if we spent the day collecting, right? Wasn't that the thought process, Juno? If we can put ourselves in the best position to be as fueled up as possible and avoid Flagstaff if we decide to.
So
Yeah, I think whenever it feels safe like this, we should definitely just top up just by default.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we collected. We might as well use that storage for fuel rather than just debris and bullshit. So yeah, let's spend a day brewing, and yeah, I mean, we probably scavenge as much as we can around here. So maybe just have Anya spend the day brewing, and I'll take Mikey or Juno, and I don't know, we'll set some traps or see if we can just do some hunting in the area. Get us some free food rather than use our rations.
So let's have Enya. Let's have you make another brewing check, another mechanics check.
Topped it off, but just barely.
Oh my goodness, you did it again. Yeah. So let's have you fill that up to 4 days. Good, but not great. maybe this is actually a problem with the still because it seems pretty inefficient at the moment, but that's what you ended up with. You have got 4 days. You still have another tank, though, like, you know, an extra day's worth of stuff that you could fill, but you just don't have the gas to put into it at the moment. All right, what's the plan?
It's pretty much the best possible position to be in. Might as well take off next.
Yeah. Start heading north.
All right, beautiful. So let's have you, and again, Tim, I know it's 10:30 there, so let's wind this down. So let's have you make a driving check.
Okay.
Oh, it's a good one to end the night on.
Yeah, it really is. So that's let me just double check because it's been misrenaming. Yeah, that was a moment of low insight. So oof.
And you will make a rude comment about you making fun of my driving skill, trying to go from one building to the next.
Hey Tim, I think that it is how we're going to play it. We're going to have you fell asleep at the wheel. So let's have you close us out. Let's have you give us a diary entry. It's middle of the day, or you know, like 5 p.m., whatever time you want it to be. You've been driving all day, or you've been driving a few hours, whatever you want. But you fell asleep at the wheel. Walk us through how you fell asleep, what you were thinking of, and what you see the minute you wake up, and that'll take us out for the evening.
Yeah, just a couple of restless nights, maybe, and you get that fucking driving fatigue. The fucking everything starts to blend in. The road stand out hypnotizes you. The sway of the fucking Mini just makes Shimmy's eyes a little heavier and heavier, and he suddenly just sees something dart out in front of him on the road, and he slams on the fucking brakes and opens his eyes and fucking barely misses hitting a dog.
Oh, a dog. All right. So it is the bad news because it was a moment of low insight. You've done damage to Mini. So you're kind of slamming the wheel around. I don't know if you've damaged the axle rod or if you've damaged the tires, and that's what's happened. But you guys, maybe Juno and Enya, just briefly tell us how you reacted to his jerking the wheel and what's happened, and then we'll figure out next time the damage that was done.
I guess I'm just thinking about the next campfire that I'm starting and getting lost. I mean, I'm already imagining the flame just right in front of me, dancing back and forth, and all of a sudden it just extinguishes as I go falling off the couch and just go, what the fuck?
I kind of feel like you're in a slow motion, like a Guy Ritchie movie or something, where you're playing with chemicals and suddenly they're flying through the air, and you're trying to grab a beaker or a bottle that has a highly flammable liquid in it. All right, beautiful. Juno, what were you doing when Shimmy drove you into a ditch? Did we lose Juno? All right, that's a perfect way to leave it. Juno's head hits a wall. You hear a squawk from her, and then she is out for the count as Shimmy tries to re-wrestle control of Minnie and see what damage has been done. All right, that's where we're going to end it for the evening. If any of you have any notes, feel free to throw them in. It'll attach to the session. Other than that, this was super fun. If you had recording going, if you could hit stop recording and then send that to me in a private message on Discord, that would be awesome. I had a ton of fun. Anything missing? I know I ask this at the end of every session, but in terms of the VTT itself, is anything missing? Is there anything that we needed this evening we didn't have? Is there any roles I should be programming in, or anything that you've seen in another VTT somewhere that you liked, or anything?
I did leave a note about the NPC tab. When you have multiple open,
Yeah.
to get out of it, you have to close them all individually. Now, I see if I pick the first one, I can just tap, 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 tap. Again, small, pure
Yeah.
quality of life. It'd be easier to have a quick little close all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see anything missing. I hit the record button to start. I was not paying attention, but it's not so recording. So I don't think I actually recorded the session, even though I started it when you asked.
If you refreshed your window at any point, that probably restarted it. So no worries if you don't have anything to send over. We didn't really hit any bugs. Like the only thing I noticed this evening was the map was non-responsive, and some things like the route wasn't working correctly. Like I couldn't like click it on pins, and then it was stuck. So. But other than that, I mean, if you got the recording, send them to me. But if not, don't worry about it because I just don't think we actually hit any buds.
Yeah, the map was the biggest thing I noticed too. The map was much more problematic than it's been. I think we used it more tonight than we have in the past. But even just like zooming in and out, sometimes scrolling in and out, sometimes the map was just like either not responding or just having like big like fucking white spots where it wasn't filling in.
Right, good.
As far as the recording goes, I had started it at one point, and then I think I hit the back arrow and lost the campaign page. I think it took me back to my story. So when I clicked back in, it wasn't recording, so I hit it again. So it probably doesn't start what I just sent you through Lindy's Discord because that's where I'm logged in. Doesn't start when we started, but it did start, and as soon as I stopped recording, it automatically downloaded that JSON file.
You are awesome. Thank you.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention. I'll check my download file. I just walked away from my computer. But if that happens, I think I did refresh or hit a back button at some point when I clicked on away from the campaign.
Well, I did, but it prompts it sits there ready to record again after the fact. So I did restart it. So I don't know if that means the first one was kind of null and void and it just kind of started over. But when I did shut it off, it did automatically.
All right. Well, I very much, again, as always, I very much appreciate you guys all playing this and leaning in. I'm having like an absolute ton of fun with this. I shall see you all next week. If you think of anything that didn't go as it should have done, or if you can think about any improvements or anything you think it would go to this, let me know. I very much appreciate it. And thank you again. I had a ton of fun. I'll speak to you all next week.
All right. Sounds good. See you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.